Hi, good evening. We are the next generation
of the Mangrove 9.
And tonight we have part 2 of Hip Hop Hooray from the Bronx to the UK. And today we have some special guests, big time UK hip hop artists. And if you don't know, you don't know. So we're about to educate you. So we're going to start off by letting all the guests on the show introduce themselves. And we're going to start off with, to the left of me or to the right of me, DJ Random. So DJ Random, would you like to tell the viewers something about yourself?
No problem. My name is DJ Random. I turned 50 about a month ago. I learned to scratch at the age of 14. I was listening to hip hop since I was about 12. By the time I was 16, I had my first professional hip hop gig with DJ Krew, who is appearing on here later. By the time I was 18, I was a DMC Technics champion, which I maintained for the next couple of years. I'm one of the founding members of the Steel Devils hip hop DJ crew, a good 6 of us, turntablists, hip hop DJs, and I've spent the last 35 years or so trying to preserve the culture and present hip hop and keep the faith as I see fit.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to move over now to Rakim, aka Trim, from back in the days, Cash Crew. Do you want to tell us something about yourself for the viewers?
Okay, hi there, everyone. I'm Rakin, aka Trim, from the Cash Crew. I come from Lalo Labrador Grove. This is the area that I'm from. I started off like breakdancing, body popping, and we had our crew, which was called Supreme Rockers. We used to go down and see all like Drew and them, Scown, all of those people. That's how we started off. We started off breakdancing, body popping. So we used to go around carrying our lino and go and fight other people to challenge. After that, we started off Cash Crew. And funny enough, Cash Crew in the beginning, it was me and Flex. It was me, Flex, first of all. And then afterwards, we was joined by Champagne and also DJ Loose. And we started Cash Crew. From there, we made so many songs. We did a deal. We had a deal with Virgin Records, Scream. We did an album with them. Later on, we did an album with BMG as well. And then after that, we started doing our own stuff on our own label. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Okay, that's good to hear. West Side's in the house. And you forget to say about female Casper you used to make.
Oh, yes. We're going to bring that up, yes.
You made us go up there and rap in the parks. And next up, we have Dougie, Melodee himself, No Sellout Crew, and as everyone would know him from the big events that he puts on every year at Carnival, so big respect to Dougie for that. Dougie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, how's everyone doing tonight? My name is Melodee, aka Dougie. I started out in Covent Garden. I suppose I'm part of the Covent Group Foundation. Then I moved to start a group called NSO Force, which stands for No Sellout, with Dolby, Big Dolby, not Dolby D. Yeah. Then I did some stuff with 1159, I suppose, if anyone remembers 1159. Labrador Grove, and Drew brought me in the back door of Positive Beat and On To Be Down. He brought me on a couple of tracks, you know what I mean? Like, and that was my first taste of actually recording and stuff like that. I'm Dougie, aka Melodee. Yeah.
Thank you, Dougie.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Dougie. And next up we have Hudson, aka Pesky. And I'm gonna say something, but I'll let you tell them about yourself.
You can say anything you want, you know me for years. All right, my name is Hudson, aka Pesky. Now, most of you lot might know me as Hudson. I used to be a dancer. Anyway, my story is kind of different because similar to Rakim's Trims, because we basically met in schools, body popping clash. He was going over Holland Park, if you don't mind me saying. I was Carmen Manning.
And you used to come to Hammersmith with Tony Taylor as well. And come
Remember that guy? Yeah.
Remember the teachers used to be there.
Right. So I used to live Listen Green, but I used to go to school in Labrador Grove.
Yeah.
So Alva used to let me link up all the Grove man. So I had that passport thing Grove for a long time, so I wasn't really into that clash, but I had the passport early. So I know Flex from there, Drew, from anyone and anywhere. We can go for age. We're going later about that stuff. But first it started, I was body popping. I used to be taught by Peppy. Peppy was like my elder, like my god, Listen Green at the time. Peppy. he used to like see me, and I was always a short one. You know, in every clip there's a short one. That was me, right? So then he would like teach me personally, and I used to bring them moves to Laverick Grove and clash man with Peppy's moves and kill them. And then I met Martin, who's DJ Loose. He used to go Cardamom with us, so then he put me on other things. So I got the Grove mix from there. After that, I was my uncle used to be in a sound called Double B. They used to play in like Coliseum, when they called Podium before. They used to play in there, and his brother had a brother called Dean. Dean was a smoothie guy. Like, them lot knew Dean from before, like
Offical Gardens as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I met Dean, and I said to him, yo, you have to do this hip hop thing, because I was into street nonsense. I was one of them troublesome street nonsense. That's why I got the name Aka Pesky came later. But anyway, we're going to that now. But anyway, he kind of made me smooth it out. We started dancing. We joined Power Law. Power Laws was our like elders and that. Who would know Cockpit Theatre, rest of us.
Yeah, wicked. Cockpit Theatre
and all that. And link up them. They used to bring us. So what happened is, Power Laws was performing for Sugar Bear. Remember, those guys
yeah, wicked.
It was at Apollo, which is now whatever the BBMC, what they call it down here. He was supposed to perform, but because their music wouldn't start, you know, sometimes when the DJ thing don't mix up properly, it goes, Hudson and Dean, come on stage and dance for us quickly. That was my first taste of ever going on stage and seeing crowd go mad over moves, and from there, that was it. Crying, nothing in it. I had nothing to do with it. A year later, we got lucky. This is how the break come, because back then days it was RPM from Brixton and Funky Dot Maneuvers, Brixton. They was Cookie Crew's dancers, and you had RPM. You used to do Merlin and other couple of dancers. Duke could tell you. Duke was around there. I was there. Cafe de Paris when you catch Merlin. I was there. We're going to that later on. I was all there. But anyway, we was the next dancer, so we had to get a video. The key was to get a video. If you had a video, it'd be nothing. So we got video, but we got lucky with Snap. I Got the Power. We didn't really like the tune. We only liked it because it had the King of the Beats beat, that breakdown bit in it. That's the only reason why we danced to that beat alone. That's why the routine came. They were shocked that UK people can dance to hip hop. So the video was based on us a lot. And then it bust. We've done worldwide tours, all that stuff. Then they dropped us because we was questioning certain other things that we can go into later. And then we came back, danced a couple of other bits, but the passion wasn't there. We always loved to rap and do the rest of the stuff. We wanted to do both. We wanted to be the first MCs who could do both, rap and dance. So he became different piano, I became my stuff. Rodney P heard me one time, took me on, I went to One Extra. Rest was history. I was a One Extra. I'm seeing everybody, but some people didn't understand why I was with Rodney P and all them man them so early, skinnies and all that, not knowing that they knew me from Hudson, the dancer. You understand? So that's Final Fuck, rapper / dancer.
So Blaze in the house.
Yeah, what's happening, people? My name is Blade. I was in boarding school, and basically I used to see all this stuff going on with the hip hop thing early on. I mean, I started listening to records like Sugar Hill Gang from 1980. So that got me into the whole rapping thing. I was already doing poetry and stuff. So from the poetry side of things, it was just about taking those lyrics that I was writing and trying to rap to beats. But in the beginning, I was finding it difficult. So I used to literally copy the lyrics from the rappers and just practice with that. And it took me a couple of years before I started kind of getting confident with the rhyming. But before that, I was a beatboxer. And like most of us in hip hop, we did everything. We were breakdancing, we were doing graffiti, we was like breaking glass at the local petrol station and stealing cans so we could spray, you know, like the prime thing you were talking about. But yeah, performing live all over the place. Wherever I could go, I would be jumping on stages, just trying to get my name out any way possible. But at that time, basically everybody knew me for the beatboxing. No one even knew I could rap. I was keeping that quiet. And I was partners with Merlin MC for a little while. Merlin knew I could rap, but I just didn't expose it. And then I disappeared for a couple of years. Started doing my records independently. I went out there, got my money in whichever way I had to basically finance my own releases and everything. And I believe at some point I approached Music of Life. And I don't know if you remember this, Duke. I don't know if you were there, but I remember you mentioning that you were there, and that kind of got me thinking, was he there? I don't remember. But
that
yeah,
was my office, bro. That was my office. It weren't their office.
But yeah, I believe there was like a little bit of an offer on the table or something, and I just said, nah, not for me, and I walked out, which I remember you recalling. I don't remember it personally, but I remember you saying something about it online somewhere. But yeah, that just became my general routine. Everywhere I went, I was like, I'm interested. As soon as they say, all right, we're interested, I'm like, I'm not interested anymore. You know what I mean? Kind of like being a guy chasing the girls down, and then as soon as you got a baby and you're pushing a pram, all the girls want to know, but you don't want to know anymore. You know what I mean?
Don't lie, yeah. Don't lie.
Know them ones.
You use that.
That's
Don't
what you
lie.
try
You
and
use
tell
that
them.
child as bait, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Or you borrow your
but
sister or brother's child.
Right. Then I just, went on and started manufacturing my own records, selling my own merchandise, talking to local promoters and organizing my own shows, and just built like a little bit of an empire for myself doing that. And I managed to change my life. And a few years later down the line, a couple of years later down the line, my dad died. I decided to take a back burner and not really do the music thing on a serious level, because I had a child as well. So I wanted to be a father to my child. So I basically promised my child I was going to, even though the child was a baby, I promised the child I was going to be there for the first 5 years of its life. So he knew who his dad was. And then as soon as that 5 years was over, I went on a militant one to chase my career again. And that's when kind of things happened. And I started getting into the job and, and touring with Eminem and whoever else. And, so I guess most people will probably know me for my independent stance. Like I did things my way. I created my own lane. That's what people know me for.
And you used to sell tunes out of the back of your car or somewhere in the back of your bag. But I remember back in the days you selling your stuff, people were like, he's mad. And then you became big. So big respect.
He used to have his vinyl in a brown satchel.
Yeah, okay.
Brown satchel.
I used to carry 200 singles at a time, 100 on one shoulder, 100 on the other. So they would even out all the time. But then I used to go back home later, and when I take my shirt off to show my six-pack to the missus, it's like all of a sudden she's seeing all these scratches and thinking I'm having an affair.
Right. So thank you for that, Blade. Right. So MC Duke, next up, can you tell us a bit about yourself? I don't know how you're going to get this all down in 3 minutes, but I'm sure you'll be able to do something.
I'm a compact it for you. There's the word. All right. I started out, my dad was a DJ to begin with, from the mid-70s. So from when I was like 11, 12 or what have you, I was already carrying record boxes and speakers into clubs and having to be there till he finished and go home with him. So from a kid, I was in the clubs. At 14, I got dashed out of my house when my mum and dad separated. So I was living, on people's sofas and stuff, hustling, doing what I could here and there, to be a dancer at that time. So people started telling me to get my skill set up, I should go places like Pineapple and do lessons. From there, I went round and I saw what was going on in Covent Garden. There was loads of busking. But at that time, a side thing I was doing was body popping, and it was the new thing for everybody, really. But because I was quite tall at that time, it looked good on me, you understand what I mean? So anyway, I thought, let me throw down a little hat and put down a beatbox or whatever and do a little something, and I started making mad money. And then I met up with another dude called Stuart who used to do the robot. He used to dress up in a suit and everything, and he'd just do robotics. So then me and him teamed up, and I taught him how to body pop, he taught me how to do robot, blah, 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 blah. From that, now, approximately about a year later, you started seeing maybe 800-900 kids turn up at Covent Garden, come whenever there were school holidays, summer holidays, after school. Some of them weren't even bothering going to school. And it just became the hub for hip-hop in London at that particular time. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, we go to, again, the DMC finals night. There was an after party in Busby's in Charing Cross Road. And the MC that had won the DMC championships for the UK jumped on the stage and offered to battle anybody in the crowd. Basically, just because he just won the DMC thing. Anyway, man in the crowd shouted me out. I went up there, destroyed him. Simon Harris saw that, invited me up to the office. They asked me if I had a demo, which I didn't because I just used to freestyle for kicks. And then, so I freestyled in the office and they offered me a record deal. From there, I made it my business to kind of go out there and fuck up on a lot of the rappers that I'd met through Covent and through the scene, the ones that was really good. and invite them to come to the office, because I wanted to make, it was me and Derek on the label, and there wasn't any other UK hip hop labels around at that particular time, so we was getting a lot of attention. And we're looking at Def Jam going, damn, they got everybody that's hot. You understand me? So I was telling them, yeah, don't sign nobody unless I say that they're hot, because I know what I'm doing. Let me go out there and I'll find the people. So I found Demon Boys. I told them to come through. Hijack, Ron, and all them guys I knew from before. I battled Ron in Battersea Park at one of the graffiti jams that I think it was either Radio London or even
Capital Venture Day.
Yeah, it might have been that. It
was. I'm sure it was.
Because they had all the graffiti boards on the side.
Yeah. Capital Venture Day, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, me and Ron battled there. And back then, when my mind was a bit more active, if I hear a rhyme that I like, I'm remembering it straight away. Now, he had been on, I think it was either Dave Pearce or one of them shows. And he said some rhymes in that. I thought, oh yeah, that's quite nice. Those are tight. So I remembered them. Then anyway, he come to try and battle me using them same rhymes. So as he's saying the rhymes now, I'm doing his punchlines. Right? So imagine you're trying to battle, man, and the next man's doing your punchlines. You understand me? So anyway, that's how comes me and Ron got to be friends, and I told him to come in the office. And you guys know the rest about Music Alive. We tried to be the battleship for UK hip hop, and we was the battleship. It inspired other labels to sign people from England and give them an opportunity. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so there you heard it from MC Duke. Okay, he told you he's sticking to it. That's his story, and that's his story. So no one else can tell you anybody's story. It's their story, and it's always good to tell your own story because everyone's got their kind of story that they make
versions.
Nice to hear it from the people themselves. So next up, we have the main man himself, DJ Fraggle. Well, I call you Fraggle. You've got DJ Fraggs. Also the designer, is our clothes designer. I have to say that, Chain. So do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
A bit about myself. I am a first generation Covent Garden, basically a dancer which was popping, locking prior to that, growing up. First generation popper and locker. Basically my foray into dancing comes back from, as a young kid, from the age of 4 or 5, not into the actual hip hop, but basically just imitating anything that was on TV, music, Hollywood musicals, the Jackson 5. Basically had a knack to see something and imitate it. So it was like the entertainer in my family, which is quite a big family. I come from a family of about 11 of us. And and basically what happened from there was in London, as I said, from about 1982, saw the actual word of mouth video, Tony Basil, and a Tony Basil special, and Jeffrey Daniels, who performed on Top of the Pops. And that's where my foray into actual popping and locking came from. And that's me. And also, basically later on in life, my parents were, my dad was a tailor, my mum was a seamstress. So it was just kind of natural for me to actually, follow that path. So, I have my own clothing company, which is bespoke tailoring, called Shay Bespoke Tailoring, and that's what I do. I'm also a stylist as well. So that's me, and I'm sticking to it.
Covering all day, covering.
I have to say, those viewers out there, he is very stylish, so you must check him out, man. He's under, he's being modest. You have to check out his stuff, right?
Humble guy.
So you better give me some free clothing now, right?
I want that t-shirt.
T-shirt.
Right. Listen, mate. If you're a Covent man, if you was a Covent man, you knew how to dress.
Yeah,
properly,
it's true.
Right?
It's true.
We was right there. You had all of the shops right there. How could you not know how to dress when you're going past Cecil G and them thing there? Everybody was, when it was time to get a man to put his things together, everybody looked trash. Everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on now to DJ Prone. Your mic's, you want to unmute yourself and tell us all about yourself?
I'm in Palm Springs, California at the moment.
Don't rub it in, I'm stuck in my bedroom in London.
Okay, I'm DJ Prone. I got into hip hop in 1983. A bit secondhand because I was living out in Berkshire, Surrey, right on the border. So I'm an out-of-towner. So by about 84, I started going into London, and we had a friend up in Camberley called Peter Edwards, who was worldwide known for his continuous head spins. And he took me up to Electric Ballroom. First time I went up there was like the first hip hop club I ever went to, and I saw people battling and stuff. We had Yankee on stage, and I was mad. It was really good. So that was like my first introduction out of my little town. So I started coming up, and when that finished, we was off to Spats. And you know, I've seen a few of you guys in my journey. You know, obviously I saw Ian down at Spats on the mic, and Fingers. And, you know, it just went on from there. So by 1984, I decided I was going to be a DJ. I had some horrible deck that I got from my mum, and I was using the dial on there to scratch until I got my first mixer, which was up only. It didn't even have a headphone socket. And a friend of mine in a Krew had a book simply called Rap. I cannot remember the full title, but I just remember it had Rap, and it talked about collecting drum breaks and Grandmaster Flash. So quite early on, I got into digging, getting records together, pause taping, making beats with the breaks, and you know, one deck. Then finally got another set. I got a proper set of decks together. Stopped dancing in about 86, and around about that time, my graffiti was really strong. So I was going out and piecing up a lot, bombing up a lot with the DRS crew, going into London, joined up with all world experts. Continue with the DJing, continue with the beat making, got my Amiga, went from that to an S950 onto MPC, then started promoting, putting nights on because I was fed up. There was nothing much going on out there, so decided, well, let's do it myself. And yeah, I've done a lot over this time. I'm truly grateful. I've been blessed. I've worked with some of my heroes. You've warmed up for. I'm a percussionist, Latin percussion, thanks to the incredible bongo band and Ray Barretto and the likes. Got me into the percussion. Then funk band, Function, which Mike, which is DJ Random's brother. You know, we're all connected. Seen Blade over the years, down at the White Hart performing, buying records out of his bag. Yeah, Cash Crew came to Reading, and I saw them there. They had Michelle Gale with them, and we was hanging out and dancing. That must have been about 88. And of course, Jonie D, I've been playing your music on my show. I play on a couple of radio shows. I'm still doing producing. I'm producing like neo soul as well as hip hop now, and that's basically me in a fast forward.
Okay,
And you're
thank you
sticking
very
to your
much for that.
story. I'm sticking to your story.
Yeah, I think I am.
That's your story.
It's all made up. I invented hip hop. No, I didn't really. I'm gonna get beaten
That's
now.
your story. Right, so now we're going to move over to Sir Drew in the house from back in the days, West Sides.
Yeah.
We know you're American side initially, but you was West Sides. I remember you from West Sides.
Okay, shall I tell you how it goes?
Yes.
It's funny you said about America. Okay, I'm gonna go way back, 70s. I'm old, I'm a dinosaur. The 70s, okay? I moved to America from Labrador. I was born in a house in Labrador. So I'm lay low, true and through, okay? And I'll tell you how that name came about too, lay low. It came from me, yeah?
Okay.
Little story. I went to America anyway. I had to stay in Queens first, in my auntie's house. And because we have family in New York, I was just going around the boroughs a little bit, staying here, a bit of there, bit of Brooklyn, bit of Bronx. And I got to see the flavor of hip hop without even realizing it. Cut a long story short, I didn't even want to go to America because I was into my Jamaican vibes all the way, 100% sound system, carnival, loved it, rubber dub dub, that was me. And I wanted to be an actual toaster in the early days, yeah? Then from New York, we went to LA, boom. Oh no, I'm a foreigner. This was like a culture shock. It's a different world. I was thrown in a place called El Segundo, where you hear Tribe Called Quest talk about. This is South Central now. This is not a nice place for little youth growing up, boom, boom, straight away, crime. All right? Listen, there was popping all around me. That's the only thing I can tune into. I was thinking, whoa, I love this popping. I seen a little bit of the early days of breaking in New York, but this popping was amazing. It was more magical. I was into that, smart popping, in my own world, music, funk. Everything was turned upside down. No reggae. Reggae was hard to find. Okay, to cut a long story short, I'm trying to compress. They had names for their neighborhoods. Shotgun Hill, Rolling 60s. Okay, I was all in this life. I was a Rolling 60, rolling with some Shotgun Hill people and rolling with cholos because they all liked me because I was just crazy and getting high and popping all day, and we go to parties. That's how I used to live. Used to go from neighborhood to neighborhood. But my mum didn't like this because she could see I was going cuckoo, yeah, all the way. So she flew me, on a plane back to the UK. Now, I'm trying to fast forward a bit, sorry. I'm in the UK now. I'm back in Lavender Grove with my cousins. Kurt, guys are talking about soul heads. They're soul heads, you know. They don't know nothing about hip hop. Soul heads. I'm thinking, oh shit, they ain't got no popping over here, nothing. What the fuck? It was a culture shock. For once now, I felt like I was a foreigner in my own, because I didn't realize I picked up all this Yankee twang. People were calling me Yankee, and I'm telling them, nah, I'm from Lavender Grove. They couldn't put it together, because I'm telling you, it was big time culture shock. Anyway, when I mixed up with my fam, cousins, Kurt, Kevin, they had a little clique together, and they would go around the place and they would go to jams. It was early days, like them people like Mastermind and things like that. They was building up like the hip hop business. It wasn't really hip hop. They would have maybe one hip hop tune if he was lucky, Curtis Blow and this and that. And I was coming from the bass. I was coming from a place called Millenhall where they had 2 Live Crew, the DJ there. He was into waving. So me and him hooked up because he could say, whoa, this brother knows all about Crips and Billy Lily, la la la. So he hooked up with me and I took him to London. I said, let's go there because this country scene is, nah. So we went to London now and we was in Lavender Grove. I would just stay at my uncle's, we would stay at Kevin's house and we'd be just like making the rounds. Early day, people was just doing kind of robot. There wasn't no popping, trust me, there was none. Jeffrey Daniels could even pop, not like me, because I was from I didn't even realize these days, I was from the root. People used to know when I used to come to Carnival and start doing popping, they go crazy because they never seen that before. You see like early day popping where people were just starting to maybe do a little bit shocking, but I was into the popping all the way, freestyling, just rapping. I wasn't thinking about money. People was kind of exploiting that kind of business. They would go, oh, let's get Dave and Drew to come and do a show. Let's get the Robotic Force, because we had some other brothers up on the bass who could do the popping and business. And then we took that a bit further. We started doing the popping. I started loving the rapping just as much as the popping because I could fly with the rhymes. I could like make the music, the dancing with the lyrics over the beats. So we just used
3 minutes a row.
We used to bum rush the record. It's gonna be hard, bro. We're gonna bum rush the record. That's all I used to think about. Bum rushing. Everything was bum rushing to me. Bum rush the mic. I see someone rapping, I bum rush it. I see someone popping, I'm bum rushing, I'm popping. You know what I mean? Then them guys used to love breaking. So we started from every element of without realizing, people was going there. We'll have a DJ. We got people who can do the breaking. We got people who could do the popping. I was teaching the brothers how to pop. We were all the same time. We was all learning how to break, yeah? Because we just loved it. It was the extension of the hip hop. It was all like rapping, breaking. Everything was about breaking on the mic, breaking on the floor, breaking on the wall, writing graffiti, like everyone was saying. We did all of it. And then the music started coming and people used to try and say, oh, Drew, why don't you rap over this record? So Nutriment came along and he tried to make us rap on his record and we was going, nah, we're not really interested. Even though he had the London Bridge thing, he didn't really know what was up. Dave Hobbs and Kurt, people don't know this, kind of educated that brother and Froggy, and he started doing the music. He had the connections. He was a connection man. So next thing I know, we was doing what was it? Not Too Live. We was doing London Bridge. Then we went over Germany. We was doing a show. We had SLB breakers, yeah? Them brothers don't even know that Drew was a B-boy. Drew, bam, one time on the floor, breaking. But I was supposed to be over there doing MCing over a little tune. I had only had a little rap on it. There wasn't much rapping because they took the rap out. They wanted more to highlight the vocoder of Nutriment going, this is a Krew jam, this is a Krew jam. But Krew jam was already a crew that was going around all over England doing jams. They was breaking into warehouses, making parties like proper warehouse. Early day warehouses come from that crew right there, the Krew. They used to go into like abandoned swimming pools and make a Krew jam. From them days, early days, I knew I had to do my own music because I'm going through, I'm in Jive Records and I ain't making no money and I'm doing a rap. I'm thinking, what the fuck? So then I started saying to people like around me, I'm gonna start doing something with this business and making money for myself. I got really militant. Anytime people wanted me to do a show, people used to think I was crazy. I was a bit crazy, I'm gonna be honest. I had to try and calm myself down. I had to stop smoking at times, trust me, because I was missing out on shit. Because a little thing would let me go, woo, I lose it. Next thing I know, I'll be in jail, missing everything, missing the jams, missing the concerts, getting whack at breaking because I'm in a jail cell doing a head spin. That's it. So I couldn't even get my fix. My fix was hip hop. I used to live for that shit. But that same shit really got me out of that because it made me look at myself and said, I have to pick myself up now. I have to make money. I can tell that these suckers are exploiting us because there was racism thick. They was not letting you get through if you was black. The skin color, you was not getting through. We nearly got deals so many different times from the early days from Jive Records. I could tell they was thinking we wanted to sign, maybe we're going to sign this brothers Drew. But no, we're going to get these girls from Wham singers. And they just flopped because they could see that there was a market for you. But in England, they don't really want to promote anything that was black in them days. They always used to import it from America or Jamaica, and they would still do it on a low platform. And then
I just say something, Drew. We're going to cover that later.
In a nutshell, I've done a couple of records worldwide with my brother, and I brought in Flex. I've done a few records with Known to Be Down. We started making a Krew, Mighty Ethnics Krew. We're selling the records out of the back of the thing. It was all going good. Then we brought some manager in and fucked us up. We didn't get a deal with Ireland. It's always the same story. People is trying to give you a little bit of money for a project that they wanted to sell worldwide, but they ain't give you no money. I forgot to tell you about this. I went to Denmark and Norway and Sweden doing breakdancing. And then same thing again, we had an agency. And we was making a lot of money for another company instead of making money for ourselves. We was making money, trust me, but apparently they made over $1 million and we just made thousands. So it was
Drew,
that's your story, right?
That's my story and I'm sticking to it. And it's even deeper than that.
Yeah. So next up we have Mr. Emix, MC Emix in the house from the Family Quest. Trini in the house, TNT. Pop, pop.
Yo. Well, see, my story, is a lot shorter than you. You know what I tell you? I'm gonna say, Drew, you should have been a cut DJ because you could have cut that a lot shorter. No, but you see, now me, I was someone I love to sing, but again, being a male, I just figured it wasn't really the done thing going out there. But I never really, I didn't go outside and do any clubs or anything like that. End up having a serious accident, end up in hospital. But at that point there, I had to sort of reevaluate my life. And I was thinking, I want to do something musically. I ended up meeting a crew. We started in the reggae scene. We had a sound system called Jafrica. And that's where I met Harry and Chico, who also a member of the Family Quest. And by the way, I should have said, everybody knows me as Emix of the Family Quest. But so we started doing jam sessions every weekend. We had a thing called the Cali Blues. And every Friday and Saturday, we running blues nights. Now, I used to work as a youth worker, and we had this studio facility which we should take kids to use. And the guy that managed it said, well, as I'm working, we could use it, over a night once all the sessions are done. So I went to Jafrica and said, hey, let's come down there. And we end up having a jam session every Wednesday. So now, one day, we've gone to another youth center, and in there, somebody had in them days, we called it the walk box. So, and as they had the walk box, someone out there is playing Planet Rock. And, for the whole session, there were no other tune but Planet Rock. We left the youth center, and it was like a carnival going to a place called Paradise Park. And it's like the Pied Piper, the man with the cassette player, he's on his shoulders playing Planet Rock, and we're all going down the road like this, dum, 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 just doing the moves. Got into the park, and there was a lion. The night was so good, that beat was just resonating inside my head. It's like, well, we want to find some more of this. And Tutu's somewhere along the line, Westwood started doing a hip hop show and thing, and we heard this, and we thought, right, started listening to it, and he asked for a mixtape. We was a reggae crew. Rapping, the only tune that I could rap at back then was Rapper's Delight. I could rap it from the beginning to the end. But you asked me to turn around and formulate a rap, it's like, can't do it. So one time we sat down there, we sat down there, a friend of ours called Tony B created a beat. We wrote down some lyrics for it, we sent it in. It seemed to blow up. Everybody wanted to know who the Family Quest was, and we was invited down to Spats. We went down to Spats. One rap is all we have. And we went down there, Tim Westwood played, I can't remember which tune he played. I remember the second tune he played because we was all stuck like, what do we do? we done our rap and everybody received it well. We was like, yes, 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 yes. So then he says, carry on. Now he started playing Sucker MC, the dub. And he goes, carry on. And we all looked at each other and said, carry on what? But now we've got a crowd just staring at you and you're thinking what to do. And I have to say, because the London Posse, got to give them their credit because they did actually bring the ragga style to the masses. But they claim that they started it. I have to say that ain't quite true. Because the only thing that we had was our roots to go on. And Harry and Chico would be more on that because they even come at there was a particular lyric when it was like, in a car anyway, them days I didn't care, going to a party just off Leicester Square, even Chico Brigade Trinity was there and all that. But now we started just finding rhymes. And from that day forward, we would every week, because one of the things about me, I was good at improvising. And we would end up improvising each and every week that we come down. But again, Spats was a great hub because that's where I met Duke. You know what I mean? That's where I met so many cats. The first hip hop thing that we actually went to before that was, again, just like Prone in the Electric Ballroom. Because a lot of people said Family Quest is like the first rap crew. We was not the first rap crew. Because before we had the Capital Boys. You know what I mean? And so, but we all looked at them and said, yeah, this is cool. We ended up meeting DJ Pogo and so on. But the Family Quest, we got together because Mystery wasn't even a part to begin with. But she was a girl that, when I say talented as an MC, she was talent personified. And we gave her, we said, listen, because we was doing the hip hop thing, we gave her the opportunity. She had a friend who wasn't quite into it, but she saw this as a way of her expressing herself, releasing, doing things. So she got involved. And from then, we didn't turn back. We got the name of Family Quest based on the fact that we was all 4 individuals from 4 different walks of life, but we all had our motto was like a quest for a future we'd love to share. And we know for a fact we're gonna get there. And that's what we brought forward to the people. And that's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
Yeah, for your story. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And the Family Quest, big respect to the Family Quest as well. Next up, we are going to have Mr. Johnny D in the house from Westside. He used to work with you enough back in the days on Positive Beats and all them things. As we know, before us was Melodee and the Known to Be Down with Chi Rockers, Drew, Rapski, Echo, Driss's brother, Driss. Driss's brother was good. Anyway. Yeah, Hassan, that's it. So they were Known to Be Down, and they was on the Positive Beat before us with Kimber. And then after we also went on to the Positive Beat, and I had my single, you had your stuff. So yes, Johnny D.
Yes. So yes, Johnny D. As Yinka said, I suppose Positive Beat was a little further down the line. I started off. It was tapes, listening to tapes, tagging, was up everywhere. It was terrible locally. School days, open mics. Then before we did any vinyl with Positive Beat, before we released anything, it became almost like a little sound. So there'd be community centre jams and little pubs. And I remember there was like 4 or 5 of us that was there all the time. I remember there was Chin was always there, DJ Chin, Reason, myself. Loads of people came through, and after that, we put out a couple of tunes. Remember going on TV, doing a little thing on TV. After that, I did nothing for about 10, 15 years. Just sort of stayed low. Did a bit of distribution with my boys from the Kaos crew, with TJ Chill and Peekaboo. We used to put records in the back of his mum's Mondeo and just head on up, go record stores, little slip of paper, say low return. We leave 10 here, 10 there, 10 there. Some solo stuff, AWOL collaboration, which I remember we sat down in the tab, Yinka, and it was like the circle was coming back round again because we was back down west. Me, yourself, MC DJ Sticks. Did some stuff with a World collaboration for a couple of
IG
years.
from Red Ninja. He's here today, I think. But anyway, we shout out to Sticks from Red Ninja Crew back in the day.
So we done a bit, a couple of years with Mr. Sticky. Then did some solo stuff. I linked up with LSK in Leeds. Some solo stuff with Daddy Speedo. We've supported Mos Def at the O2 in Leeds. Featured on one of your tracks. I'm trying to think. Chaos Krew. Album with TJ Chill. Got some solo stuff. I could go on, man, but that's my story, and I'm definitely sticking to that.
Okay,
No
so
questioning. Back up.
All right. So you're now out of the you're in is it Derby now, isn't it? So you're out
I live in Derby now, innit? I
so
moved up in 2002.
Leeds and them crew up in the LSK. Big shout out to LSK. Daddy Speedo. We're gonna now move on to
Watusi 87.
Watusi 87. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, greetings.
Greetings, brother.
Yeah. So as you've heard various times already, I'm Watusi 87.
You say so politely.
Yeah. I'm I'm part of a hip hop collective called the R1 Fam. For those who don't know, a band called the African Revolution. I play percussion. I'm a youth worker, a workshop facilitator, a craftsman of words, so to speak. Just released, well, not just, well, kind of. I released my second album in September. Second solo album in September. About 7 projects deep. Yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. Yeah, I knew that. See it there?
Short and sweet.
See it there?
Okay, thank you for that. Don't worry, we're talk about your releasing that's coming out. Because I know you're gonna cuss me anyway. But that's the way I am. Anybody who knows me, Trim, everybody knew he grew up with me. They know I'm a person that I'm just so. If I get a name, I'm just gonna keep saying it the wrong way. So don't get nothing personally, yeah. That just means that you're great, yeah. Because the fact that I just can't even say the word properly, right? I'm stumbling on those words.
Get your way out of it, you.
Yeah, it's true. It's something spiritual. There's something spiritual there, whether you get it or don't. But it will make me find it hard to say the word. Right. So next up, Jamila, say the little bit for Dave Cash.
Yeah, you. Well, I'll read it as is in its entirety, and that'll take me about 5 to 10 minutes. But all right, here we go. Say hi to the Glads. One love, yeah. Prep Spats says 78, 79. I was a kid in Hackney. It was exciting, beautiful times. Sometimes dangerous place, similar to Notting Hill. Old big houses with Porsches, markets, so many clubs and community halls and churches. Reggae sound systems dominated also, and funk sound systems, Roxy sound, stateside sound, etc. Solo DJs, black and white, soca sound systems, and lovers rock. Sound systems, Sir George Ruster. Sound systems and dub sound systems. Shaka Set, I used to lift their boxes. Jatobis, also a lot. Kids were into dancing and they had many crews. I was big into reggae and go every Friday and spend money for exclusives. I was also into local reggae mics and identified different styles. When Rapper's Delight came out, I never got fazed by it. Didn't even know it was hip hop. I was also into P-Funk and switched from toasting to copying bootsy and rhyming over funk. The US funk gradually taking over, and my brother asked me to join him at Soul Link, I think that is. We played from Friday, Saturday, and some Sundays, mainly with Sir Coxon. Who hasn't gone through Coxon? Mastermind, Java High Power, Hawkeye, I used to study the equipment and different sets. So if we played South London Stereograph, we had to bring a full 4 to 6 sets of speakers. I remember the speakers in those days, as they were the heaviest sound. All these different sounds had a decent following. We got on well with Sir Coxon, sorry. They also came down when they played other reggae sounds. We played a Saxon, an over instrumental or breakdown in funk tunes, Funking Sensations, Gap Band, I think he's listing everything. Outstanding for Fat Larry's band, Act Like You Know. I don't know if just sound culture influenced New York, but reggae and calypso defo influenced New York funk and disco. They would bring out dub mixes so we could mix and blend. I don't know who was the first to mix and cut. You had Nutriment mixing, also Herbie was Segway blending and extending also on pirate radio. Stephen Devon was playing early rap and P-Funk, which influenced a lot of people. It's kind of just emerged at the same time in the late 90s. Everyone wanted to rock. With Spax opening in 81, I battled excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Sergeant Rock.
Sergeant Rock.
Oh, Sergeant Rock. And challenged Junior G. I saw the DJ keep repeating the electro drums, so I went off. It sounded tight, so we hooked up in the rehearsal every week, and we started buying breaks and working out routines. I rehearsed so often, it just flowed. The more difficult the beat, the more I wanted to ride. It was like fire. Cruised in every borough. Put differences was the mic or the MC. Never rock breaks. So when we went on, we broke a lot of hearts and kills of opposition. No one had thought to unite the mic, the MC, over the break. It was partly Westwood's fault, as he never encouraged it. And I took Carl to meet the Sound Soul Inc. And we had 4 MCs. B4 reggae sounds we battled using slow ballad, 2-step mid-tempo. We originated 2-step rare groove. Oh, okay. Now we were hurting them with cuts, beats, and rhymes. Then Carl met Glads, one hell of a smooth MC, and we started hitting opposition hard. Carl wanted to do his dream of making a UK wild star and play against the biggest reggae sounds. I got a bit fed up with always getting ripped off and stuff stolen and in trouble with residential neighbours and police. I fell out of love with rap. I like alternative underground rap or break beat cut MC, but mostly I like old school disco funk and early rock music and also house, but not big on rap. Hey, my mic's gone. Hey, if you see Glads, ask him if I could please have a copy of his Swiss Cottage Live Part 1. We sold ink, spent big dollars on recording it. Carl got the video. I gave my copies to Glads. I'll pay big dollars just for a copy. I spat all my best barbs on that sesh. Have not heard for 30 years. I'll even give it back once I make a copy, LOL. Last thing to say, between 82 and 83, London overlooked a transcended New York. The accent and the speed took them by surprise. They had crews that mimicked London accent like main attraction. Breakbeat is the foundation, and the market moving over breaks will always be around.
Okay, so thank you.
Say thank you very much for that. I hope I did you justice in reading that. Slang is not my best when I'm reading it when I'm reading it out like that.
That was a contribution from Dave Cash.
I have to say though, if you actually read that the way Dave Cash rapped, you could have done that in 1 minute.
Yeah. Yes, a big up to Dave Cash. He was a known, a brilliant MC. So he decided to give a contribution. He doesn't like cameras, as we know. So that was his contribution. Thank you, Dave Cash.
Yes.
Right. So now we're going to open this all up. Let's just hope it don't get too messy. And Jamila, I'm going to leave you to do the first question, and I just want you to pull out people on the spot.
Okay, let me be biased and go straight to Douglas. Oh, Melodee, sorry. MC Melodee. What was your story before you got into hip hop, and how did you get into the industry? First of all.
Before, like, my story is like basically through my dad. My story is my dad's story, really. Like Duke, you know what I mean? Like basically, when I was a youth, that I used to like basically go on gigs because he was a singer in it. So he was from Brooklyn. So they was come from the doo-wop era. So they used to be called the Velours, and they was like from Bedford Stuyvesant, and they had a few hit records over there, and then they came over here. You understand? So my story was like basically obviously being influenced by their music, yeah. But say their doo-wop is like our hip hop, yeah. Street corner behind the Apollo Theatre, 5-part harmony, kind of like, and then basically getting picked up and ripped off, I suppose. You know what I mean? Like basically like, and they got out of there. But as growing up, I used to go on gigs. I was only young, but like I used to get into all the big clubs, from Wakefield Theatre Club to like Fagin's in Manchester. I remember the She Club in Liverpool, all big clubs, you know what I mean? I was doing roadieing, like carrying bags, setting up PA system, chewing the compare and doing the lighting. Yeah, so like basically, obviously I was about, 13 when I was doing that, 13, 14. So I'll come straight after school and jump into a van and go to the gig with them, yeah. So that was like the 70s, yeah. So that led into disco now, yeah, to the 80s now, late 70s, early 80s. Time where like basically Stevie Wonder was singing "I Wear the Crown," yeah. Right. So like basically that was my kind of like, because before that I used to like listen. I used to love the breaks in records, yeah. Okay, I was drawn to the breaks, not the whole tune. You understand? And then basically, I suppose like basically James Brown. You know what I mean? Like funky drummer and all them kind of things there. Obviously, that was bliss to me. That was like, you know what I mean? So like from there now, obviously Sugar Hill Gang and whatnot. By them times now, just after that, I come to Leicester Square, Covent Garden, at the age of maybe 17. That's where I see like same. I suppose it's parallel with Duke and certain other men like Nicholas Dieterville, Dana Johnson. A lot of us, we used to be a term called blocking. Blocking was like when you just stayed up 24 hours, yeah? You didn't go home or nothing, yeah? So you go like, we'd be in Covent Garden, they'd be doing shows all over the place, you know what I mean? And like, among other things, there's a dark side to this as well, but I'm gonna go into that too deep, yeah? But like basically, say a day in the life of a blocker would be like basically in the morning, go to Boots in Piccadilly and go and freshen up with the stuff like that. Alone.
Don't tell me, no.
Testers, you know what I mean? Yeah, come out there.
Yeah.
Come out there all fresh and ting. Then we go and do some shows and whatnot. We have a bottler. I used to move with a dude called Flash and Laser. Yeah, Flash and Laser and what is it, Flexi? And them kind of men in that. So everyone had their individual like vibes to add to the show. We create a big crowd. We have bottlers like with hats going through the crowd collecting money. Yeah, and we used to go in the arcade and lose all our money. Yeah? No night bus, not saving nothing for the night bus home. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So it's a cycle of
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
you,
like basically, huh?
Oh no, sorry, no, I was going to bring Drew in a minute because when you mentioned Leicester Square, it's a similar thing in one sense. But sorry to interrupt you. Go on, finish.
Leicester Square was different though, bro, to like basically being in a borough like Ladbroke Grove or something like that. Yeah. So there's all kind of things going on. Yeah, like I said, I ain't going to the dark side right here. But like basically, you know, you had the cultural side. I remember men like Scribbler, he was the first graffiti artist like in Covent Garden that I saw doing it live. Do you know what I mean? Like basically in the daytime, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I remember quite a few characters, yeah, because we're all characters, you know what I mean? But like basically, like Duke said, like is north, south, east, and west, yeah, moving as one. Yeah, imagine that. You understand what I'm saying? Moving as one, meaning like if you touch one, you touch us all, you know what I mean? Like basically, there's a lot of
I wish we still had that. We need to reinforce
you know what I
that.
mean? Like, basically, like, and so that's how we used to move. And you know, we used to make money, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we used to like love the culture, and basically we were just growing with the culture. So it's more electro, you understand, than hip hop. It was like electro. It was like basically, you know what I mean? Like
So how did you come into the Grove? So what connected you to the Grove?
What connected? You know what connected me to the Grove?
Probably
Actually,
girls.
yeah, you're my first
I'm
cousin.
joking.
You're my first cousin.
Yeah, but they don't know.
My uncle was in the Grove, yeah. My uncle Roden-Gordan, yeah.
Yeah.
And he used to have the Black
Mangrove
People
9
Information-
descendants, big shout out, respect.
Yeah, Black People Information Center on Portobello Road, yeah. So like my first thing is like basically seeing how he operates and, you know, getting the African perspective, you know what I mean? And like basically how he used to like basically, him and Claire Holder. So she was like the barrister, you understand? That end of things. And he was like the ideas man, like basically he used to put things in, you know, into line and stuff like that. But yeah, he showed me a lot of things, you know. But it was Drew who like basically said like basically come we go in studio. Yeah. So I just followed it. Yeah. And basically like that's where it started for me. Yeah. And obviously a lot of things went on. Yeah. And I was quite ignorant.
A lot of dark things, like you said, that you don't want to.
I was quite ignorant. Yeah?
But also.
And you were growing up. If you just put that down to growing up, come on, everybody went through it. You know, you were young. You got testosterone. You know, chasing girls, doing badness, having fun.
At one point,
I can see Drew.
At one point, I thought like basically because Drew and them got paid, yeah, and basically like I got robbed, yeah. At one point, yeah. So in my ignorant mind, I took it back to Leicester Square, and I ended up going and doing, you know,
taking it back.
Taking it back. It's sold to me. You understand what I'm saying?
So just bringing it forward, D. So going into the studio, what were the pitfalls and the highlights of the industry in that respect? Because once you make a record, this is where the situation and the problems come. You have the highlights of having a record and having it out there, but then
they're not seeing the returns.
The business element of the record industry is always the issue that we find. It's a common denominator through everybody that we speak to. No matter what field you're in, it's always to do with the industry and people not getting paid and not getting recognized and not getting their contribution for their contribution. So Drew, what about you? How did you feel when you met up with D?
Getting beef from some LA brothers and some California and then London head. 1 second, G, I gotta do this. I'm gonna call you back, yeah? Sorry, my brother, promise you. Okay, sorry.
One,
okay. Yeah. Come again? What was you saying, homie?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're here with us, you're on the show.
Yeah. I'm on the show, 100%. I'm there.
Headphones and talking to those American brothers. We're doing the UK show this time.
Yeah.
Not in Bronx, like that was part one.
It was a bit of a beef with the okay, I'm listening.
Drew,
yes.
Sorry. D was just telling us that you introduced him into the studio. How did you feel?
And into Labrador Grove, you corrupted him.
I corrupted him.
Yeah.
He's a music man. He was already a music man. I just knew that I bonded with that brother because he was on the same love I was loving. He was loving the beats. He was loving music. So from there, we kind of like, I had the Known to Be Down thing was rolling. And my man was like saying he liked this, like he liked the music. What was that brother's name again? The Dread. Kimber, that's it. And the other brother was with him, the other Dread. James.
Zebby.
That's it.
Yeah.
James. And them guys there, they was like on the music tip and they wanted to like, it was really community. The way they was about all about the community. And Laylo had that kind of vibe anyway. So I said, D, come, let's do some tunes, man, because D was always on it. He was like, in them days, he was with the rhyme book and he was on it strong. And I loved that shit. And I was thinking, yeah, D, you got to come in on this, man. and there was people like Rapski, and everyone was just like, they was bubbling. Everyone had that kind of vibe where they had each other's backs, and they was trying to like, you know, they knew we had to come through with the force. And Dougie had that kind of vibe where he was billing on that kind of massive kind of business. Like he wanted to come, like everyone was on the bum rush. And that's what I loved. They was into that kind of like, they had that energy. So anyway.
No nonsense energy.
Yeah. So like I said, D, can we do this? So he was like, he wanted to do the bars, make some history. And that's what we did. We just did our bars and we took it from there.
Can I just stop you there? How, and Prone and DJ Fraggs, how did you find working in the industry? Because there's always...
Yeah, would you like mainstream? Did your talents take you to mainstream or did you always stay underground? So we're going to throw this out there so everyone can talk now. So
it kind of went like mainstream, sorry. Okay, it went mainstream, but it was always like we was knocking on the door. And it always was like, they was opening it, but it wasn't really keeping it open for you. There wasn't really keeping it open for you. I could see always like in the island, and you got people in the way trying to leech off of what you could do.
Yeah.
Like A&R, Darkus, and other managers who's trying to like, but he's big now, isn't he? Yeah, I'm not saying nothing bad about him. I'm just telling you how it was. In them days, when the island, they was not helping us. Trust me, they could have did more. He had to help himself, innit? Now, when we was trying to get to Ireland, Darkus was in the like.
So originally was in Big Life.
Yeah, he signed MCD.
Okay. When I was thinking about what you're saying about the mainstream, I'm telling you the truth. The mainstream was like this. They didn't even want black people doing adverts for Pepsi Cola. I know, because I've been to the things and get through, and then they say, no, we can't have it because you're black, G. Okay, so it's like any studio you went into, it was always the same thing. It was like barriers. There's always been barriers in England. That's why I went back to America to try and make some money with the music one time. So I would say...
How did you find it? How did you find it as DJs? How did you find that?
Yeah, DJ Prone and DJ Random as well. Did you find it was hard to break out?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'm not one of those people. I've never put myself out there. I've always been on the scene. I've always been part of it. I might be kind of in the background somewhere, but I've always been there. So I didn't push myself enough back in the day. So locally, maybe where I used to live, because I was the guy that used to go up to London and bring it back. And what was going on up in London was a little bit more advanced than what was going on down in Surrey. So really with me, I was just doing it because I enjoyed it, and that was it. But years later is when I wanted to take it seriously. I got in my first soul band, and I was doing a little scratch for them, tapping congas and stuff. And even with that, we got ripped off. We were on a small label, and you know, they shifted so many units. Oh, we didn't get receipts from the distributors. Then all of a sudden we're out of pocket, you know, and it's, you know, little things like that. We got invited to the Mobile Awards. We were taking part in the Mobile Awards, and one of our singers, who was our lead singer at the time, got taken by, we had two managers running our band, and one decided to leave, and all of a sudden one of the lead singers decided to leave. So when we turned up at the Mobile Awards thing, it was 5 groups and 2 were going to be booted out. Now we went and did our thing, and then all of a sudden the singer with the guy that wanted us to go commercial, the one that left, tried to push our band commercially, brought this singer in who'd left, and she was singing our songs. Ooh. So you can guess which bands got pushed out straight away. So with that, it never really got anywhere big. It was more of a cult thing, what we got with our band, but we never got to any real stage that we were happy with, really. There's always been enjoyment, but at the end of the day, if we're enjoying what we're doing, someone is enjoying making money out of what we're doing, and that's not right.
Do you think as well, it's like, when you hear a lot of the A&R people or the record companies now talking, because now we are big adults and you're able to confront them about how they ripped you off and when they want to go into their little hiding, and they have shame face now. So a lot of those people can't come and put their face out, and like we are today sitting here together, because they're shamefaced because they know they've ripped everybody off. But their argument back then was, well, we were businessmen, we didn't tell you to look at your contracts. But at the end of the day, they knew that they was damn well taking the talent out there and making money out of you, but trying to make out they were friends while they're ripping you off along the way. So, but DJ Random, I turn it over to you now, because I remember you used to enter a lot of the competitions. for the DMC and all that days, and I know you won some titles there, so big respect to that. So we were even talking about it on part one at the Bronx, when they were saying that I kind of started out, and we were saying actually we had some people in the UK that was killing it with the DMC, and I know you won the title. So do you want to say about how you kind of took it as well? How did you kind of get into that mainstream or into those?
I'm kind of lucky but unlucky. But by the time I was 17, I had 2 managers that had realised that I could pull people in, they could make money. I was making money. So then by the time I'm 18, I've been looking at the DMC competition for a couple of years thinking, I can do that. Right? I know I can do that. So I entered, and I just turned 18. I wasn't even old enough to enter the competition. I entered the competition. I won my heat. I became a DMC champion. I was like, wow. The next year, I spent kind of working to do that again and to get into the UK final so I could up my game. I didn't need those managers after that. I could manage myself. And then other people started managing me, and I was making real good money. Right, and so I'm starting to be a bit of a face. I've been on TV. I'm on the front cover of a magazine that's gone all around the world on a DMC publication. They ended up using it for jackets, jumpers. So like, I'm kind of a face. Come 1990, I went to DMC again. I got my title, and then I've hooked up with people with DJ Pogo, Cutmaster Swift, Mello, all those people. Right, so they kind of adopted me somehow. I think we got me. If you know Pogo, you know Pogo. And me and him are kind of, I'm a little bit naughty, right? So that's how we got on. But he kind of mentored me for another year or so. Billy, I got on really well with. Jonie was dope. You know, they were my people. Like, these are like people that I have looked up to for years, right? And suddenly, I'm around their houses playing with their kids, getting all that gossip, getting all that info, and I'm like, wow, I am actually here, 19 years old, right? So I'm getting all the benefit of, how to play the business, how to be a part of business. By the time 1991 rolled round, I understood what being mainstream meant, and I realised it really wasn't for me. I am not going to kiss people's asses for that gig. I am fed up of me getting paid £200 when the dude that's booked me, all he's done's made a phone call, is getting £500. So I kind of, that for me, that was my mainstream. I was starting to go mainstream, and I really didn't like it. I didn't like the fakeness. I didn't like the fact that it was just built on rubbish. I got offered to do Top of the Pops, and I was like, oh yeah. And when they said to me, you're going to have to mime, I went, what are you talking about? Yeah, we're going to put some turntables in front of you. We're going to pay you £500 for an hour's work, but you've got to mime. And I was like, what? Nah, man. Luckily that fell through because I didn't get my MU number, but I look on that and think, it would have been really good to show my daughter or my friends I was on Top of the Pops. But how much of what I was trying to do would be lost, because I just wanted to keep things real. I want to go up there and play records. I want to scratch. I want to cut beats. That's all I want to do. I don't want to get into some game where I have to be fake and the people I'm dealing with are fake, So from about 91 to about, I kind of disappeared. I was still DJing, but that whole thing of going mainstream, didn't like it at all. And I came back about sort of 95, 96. I entered DMC again, got myself into UK finals. But from then, I knew the business. I knew how things work. And I weren't taking no prisoners, right? If you ain't going to pay me, or you ain't going to give me what I want, I ain't going to do what you want. And I've ended up working for the Academy of Contemporary Music. I've worked for the Best Acts DJ Academy. I spent the best part of 5 or 6 years working with Urban Development that were based in Stratford, working with kids. I've worked in pretty much every local authority outside London, doing what I want, not what other people want me to do.
So you've gained your confidence in that, because that's the other thing. A lot of the thing is knowledge. Well, one, in every industry, whether it be fashion, whether it be in music, especially those two in particular, they really do focus, and almost predatory wise focus and encourage you to be coming from the infant stage. So in other words, they're getting you from about 14,
and also
16,
when you call
18.
these people up, their bottom line is business is business.
It's business,
it is,
business,
but I
yeah.
don't need to do that. Because I don't
But
have
what I'm
to.
saying is,
And
But they would say business is business, but when you're young and obviously when you kind of trust people and you put your trust in people,
Trying to tell you
think
promotion.
they're trying to, they've got your back, and then you realise that they don't.
They haven't.
It become hurtful as well because especially if it's people local from your community and people that you kind of knew or grew, and then you kind of trust them and you put your trust in them as a child because I don't know about anybody, but we were brought up to give people the benefit of the doubt, and if people are family, you say they're family. You don't expect your family to stab you in the back. You don't expect the people that you grow with to stab you in your back. So I think some aspects I can agree with you in that totally of doing your own thing, but I think a lot of people may have get ripped off along the way, not just because
they don't.
It's usually because you put your faith in someone and your trust because you think they're family or they've been introduced to you and you think, you know what, this person's got my back, so you do everything for them. I'm sure a lot of us have been through that, and then the next minute you realise that person stabbed you in the back and we're making money from you.
Yeah. Can I ask Trim, how did you find that? Because again, being in the Cash Crew, that was quite anonymous, and that was.
And you had family, you had in the area management. We won't go into those kind of names.
I think what a lot of people are saying is true. The idea that there's a difference between like the artist and the record companies. Yeah, so the record companies, to them, they always had that idea of like it's business. Yeah, and like the thing about it, all of us were young at that time. You know what I'm saying? Getting into the business young, and also there was the managers. Like there's a lot of managers that were, were skanking, and funny enough, so yeah, it was tough, So like, to be honest, but there's lots of interesting things as well I wanted to say, because for example, even at the time, because that when we was at the beginning of rap in this country, and also a lot of them didn't know even how to market rap anyway.
100%.
Because funny enough, you saw a lot of the first kind of videos that were made, this and that, and like they always
whack, innit? Copy.
They were whack. And even to be honest, I remember like being in the studio and you'd be saying to the engineer, "Can you put the vocals up?"
The bass up.
And they'd be looking at you. And then after, when they're mixing the track, they're trying to put the vocals, mix it, and can you put the vocals up? It took a long time. It took a long time, and it took a long time for rap to develop in this country. In the UK, till they got to a stage where when people realize that it's better when you're making your own stuff.
And you realize that's what you're saying is so true, because it was like it was a racism move because of that, because they didn't have no people in the music business that understood the music in the first place. Even when you see the Tim Westwood, we used to bum rush his set because we knew he shouldn't be there. He's not really a DJ. If they had some other DJ person who it's not really a colour thing. Hip hop is not a colour thing. It's not that reason I'm putting this out there. It's because he couldn't actually cut. If he could cut the music up, I would have no problem.
That's true.
He could not cut the music up. It was the same way when you were going to the studios and the people you was dealing with, they didn't understand. They couldn't put the bass line up and they couldn't put your voice up because they wasn't really loving that hip hop in the first place. They was just on the money tip.
Yeah, and also
so what my man was saying,
Drew,
DJ Random,
add though as well is that interesting enough is like you would see artists, but there wasn't that longevity.
They didn't support the
artist's chance to develop. You put out one album, and then you hear, oh, my man's, you know what I'm saying, that man got dropped. You know what I'm saying? And then when bring out an album, oh yeah, that man got dropped. So there wasn't that longevity. So for example, when you think about like in the US, they think about artists like Nas, he's about like 10, 12 albums deep. You know what I'm saying? Well,
they didn't like albums a lot, did they, in the UK? It was always like, until your album and out one single.
Yeah. So
what do you feel about that as well,
Hudson?
Fraggs and Hudson, like the dancing element part of that. Like we all kind of understand the rap part, and I know that Hudson, you went mainstream, and Fraggs. How do you feel it went for like the mainstream element of like the dance aspect of it, like the break dancing, body bopping, or Hudson, you went into all kind of big
elements.
Yeah.
And Fraggs, how did you see it in the?
Go on,
So let's talk about it like the transition then, should I say? So starting from the old school, the beginning, the kind of breakdancing, bebopping, like you said, the electro, and then going into kind of the more kind of elements like what Hudson kind of was going into, like the dancing. Because like, where did you see yourself, or did you stop? Did you go mainstream with along the way like Hudson, or did you kind of stop?
Well, basically early doors, so about 83, I think 83, 84, the first video I'd done was with, was for, that was my very first one, was for an Italian advert. It was for an Italian company who made milk in a can. So that was the first advert I ever done. And then after that, straight from that went to Hip Hop Arena. So that was with Malcolm McLaren, the one that goes about the history of, I think they call it the history of hip hop or something like that. So we went straight into that. For me, when we done that, the only thing I didn't like about filming mainstream, etc., was what I noticed was you could be filming and dancing all day, but when it came to the actual television program, they would just edit out everything.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
2 seconds all day. So
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it was really annoying. So one thing I remember Dennis Charles from Cyber always saying is, whenever you're gonna do TV, when they're filming, repeat the moves. Because basically you don't know what they're gonna use at the end of the actual, footage and so forth. But if you repeat the move, you're not just freestyling. What you've done is what you might actually make it. And so for me, if I'm honest, with the mainstream, I found that jamming when you're battling in the clubs was more real for me. I preferred that, to be honest, because as I said, I did have a bit of a bugbear with dancing all day and then the 3 seconds, and you're like, where's everything else? All your best moves and everything. So I just got a bit fed up with it in the end, to be quite honest with you.
And you, Hudson?
Story on that. You see that? First and foremost, I wanted to go back to what Drew said a long time early when he was on his first introduction. See, back in them days, you used to be hanging around with man who everybody on set. You had a grey card, dancer, graffiti man, tagger, you name it, we had everybody on deck. So everybody probably had that in this group right now as well. So dancing wise, the first Melodee, we have to tell the truth, the first video I ever danced on was for Melodee.
And I dance as well. Oh my God.
The first video I ever done was me and Dean with Melodee. We was walking down Portobello Road. Remember, I can't remember the tune though. Remember the tune?
I don't remember the tune, but I remember you and mine very well.
Yeah, you was after. People never knew that. You was the first people we ever danced for.
All I know is you made us look good.
But you know what though? To be honest,
I was impressed.
To be honest, you know how it goes. To be honest with you, obviously you lot all know Titus, Max, Edmund, and all the rest of that stuff there. All that crew, Listen Grove. Obviously they're my elders, yeah. So
Listen Grove crew.
Yeah, Listen Grove crew. But some of them would go School Grove, some would be Arrow, whatever, Mozart, and the rest of it.
Mozart, yeah.
So you know, Drew, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they would always like bring me along. So they brought me to Abbey Road. Like Abbey Road was like near Wells on Estate, not Wells on Estate. That's not Lee Road. Lee Valley or one of them kind of states. Near at the back of St John's Wood. That would be the body popping spot.
Oh yeah, Abbey, what's it called?
Right, Gary Bailey.
Turtle,
you name it, Feathers, all the great, all their man would come over there. But I was young, they used to sneak me in the club because I was obviously young, 13, 12, kind of sneak me in there, but I was their secret weapon. So when they're body popping and clashing, they'll bring me through like they used to do in breakdance. You know, when they used to bring a little kid through, they used to bring me through and I start doing the same moves as them and all that. And that's how I got the name. So the confidence was built from then. So by the time I was coming to school, 13, 14, 15, I was already confident. I knew I knew obviously Trim, what's it, apples and all them, you know them all them lot from all Portobello Road and Golden Road and that. You know what I mean?
If you're red, if you're Nike, remember the Nike windshield.
Nike windshield, you know the Nike windshield. Yeah. So
over your head and spin.
I stole my first one, to be honest, but anyway, we're going to another time. Anyway, so the dance wise, what got the break is, you see, when it comes to the mainstream and the underground, if it wasn't for the underground, we wouldn't have been as big when we was mainstream, because we done most of the groundwork through the underground first. Like I've seen Duke perform many times. We used to come down to Oxford Street to Musical Live just to get records. Him, Einstein, Demon Boys, we used to always do that stuff. Hijack, we knew all of them. Everybody was friends, north, east, south, west, we were all the same. So it always came down to having that video. Now, Funky Dope Maneuvers turned down the Snap video because they were doing Cookie Crew. Remember, I'm got to keep on with Cookie Crew. They were doing well. They said, now I want to dance for them. They look like some jokers. As I said, we didn't like it either, but because of that Mantronic King of the beat, we said, yes, we can dance to it. So this is a true story, right? I'm not going to keep this long. This is a true story. You see, when we went to dance for the video, them days, exactly what Fraggs said, they tried to dance the video. That's why when you see the video Snap, you see me at the background because I'm short and Dean at the front. Remember, I'm at the background, Dean's at the front. All you see is these valleys because they couldn't edit us, put us both on the screen with the artist in the middle. So that's how he got cut, not knowing that he's dancing the whole routine throughout the whole film. So it got cut and he saw his valleys from 80% of the thing. But basically, they tried to make us wear these tight Stussy tracksuits. Yeah? Random, big up yourself as well. Cause I was there Royal Albert Hall and all them places where I remember watching. I know what time it is. But anyway, they made us wear Stussy. But because I used to think I was Big Daddy Kane, that's why I still got the high top.
Yeah, I remember them days.
Right? Yeah. You know, it's been quarantined at the moment, so it's not African, you know what I'm saying? So we'll leave that. But I thought I was Big Daddy Kane. So Big Daddy Kane video, ain't no half stepping. He's around the table, red valleys, silver suit with red tie, and he's standing there with the pool. When you look at the Snap video, I got the power. Look how he was dressed. I'll say to them, if we look like Big Daddy Kane, they're gonna love us because we look like the artists. You know what? Dancers' job was to make the artist look good. Yeah, that was the dancer's job. So we was content with being in the background. You know?
Yeah, you guys remind me of Scrap Lover and
come on.
Daddy Kane dancers.
Yeah. You see, to be honest, you see when we done the video, we never thought the tune was going to do anything. We thought it was going to, we got a video, we're going to be on TV, whatever. We end up it went number 1 in about 12 or 13 countries. And we end up, 2 months later, got your passports, boom, boom, boom. And we had to do a European tour straight away. Italy, I've been so many places, doesn't make sense talking about, but because we were still young, we didn't appreciate it. Drinking champagne, vomiting the same night, go to sleep, go wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, go again, running man, drink, vomit, the girls. I was more like, you know what Scarface always used to say? He likes the girls more than the money, like Manolo.
Manolo.
I like the money more than the girl more than the money, so that's the reason why I haven't got them long.
You've got memories though, right? So as much as you can all sit here and say some people are we're surviving now, we're doing our 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
If you can turn around and say you've got memories, and do you know what? I think that's the most important thing.
Oh yeah, we got memories for days, man.
It was part of history and the transition as well. So no matter what goes down, man, you've got your memories, you've got your respect in the sense that you was part of the underground.
But can I just say what is the kind of defining factor for all of us? And Melodee said that earlier on, is the fact that we were universal and we transcend between west, north, west, south and east. Now, what contributed to us always seeing each other and respecting each other and knowing each other is because we had the park jams. We had
community.
We had Scrubs Lane.
Everyone knew each other. You're right. One big hip hop community.
Like security.
Around the park.
Even if you didn't talk to someone, you saw their face and you knew that's that person.
You were familiar
Even if you didn't know their name, sometimes you're like, I know you. You're from
because I saw you last year. I saw you last year in the jam, and some people even matched up with, as in couples and all kind of things we had going on. Now we don't have that today with the youth. We don't have the park jams that we used to have, or days, or any of those things. And I think, me personally, that has an impact, because even just talking to my son who's 17 and they're into drill music and they're into this and they're into that, when you talk to them and you say to them, do you understand the history of hip hop and who were the beginning, who were the orators, who were the the godfathers of hip hop, the founders? He looked at me blank and said, no.
Some of them do. There are some. There are some.
I'm not saying that they all don't know, but what I'm saying is that there's so much patchwork of information out there that
social media,
a detachment, because the social element has gone.
Yeah.
So now, and what's going to be interesting going forward when a lot of these nightclubs are failed and there's no more availability, we're actually going to end up going backwards in the sense we're going to go back to our community centre. We're going to go back to our old days if the police and all the other powers allow us to, because we don't have the venues anymore.
And I think as well, with COVID as well, don't you think, Jamila, that as much as we're on lockdown, that's how we're actually be able to be here. So I'm sure if we went on lockdown, all of you lot would not be sitting here in this one Zoom meeting. Right? So, in some sense, COVID has happened for a reason, and it's about truth. It's about bringing things down,
you know, one thing,
and to bring us back to the old school way of socializing, because everyone's going to want to socialize after we get locked down so long. People are like, I can't wait to get out.
Listen, I can't wait to rave. But you know what? One thing I will say, what Jamila said, important is you see, when people get the opportunity to document what's been happening in the past, it's like, this is just my gripe, and I will say it straight, and I tell everybody straight all the time, this is just my opinion, you see, when it gets documented, people don't do it by the time gap. Like, they leave out things. People jump just because that person was higher. Like, people say, MCD, like MCD sparred with me day in, day out. That was my rap sensei. Everyone knows, everyone had their own bits, whatever. They jump. They should give people their respect in their time. Like, Dizzy High is supposed to get his in his time. Like, Eric B in his time. To me, there's no UK godfather. There's fathers. Luke's in that. Old X is in that. Enough man's in that. I don't give a damn what anyone says to me. That Rodney
Dane, remember that cat?
Has to stop, because no disrespect to Rodney, because Rodney's my brother, and I have no problem with Rodney. But the Rodney P and Bionic.
Demon Boys,
but what you got also,
my favorite.
Hudson as well. What you also got to remember is it's not just a London thing as well. So, there's people from Bristol. You're talking about the Wild Bunch and people like that.
100%.
People seem to forget them because everyone wants to talk about this.
Do the timeline properly, or don't do it at all. I'm fed up of it.
Right. So for us,
just to get the little deals.
Yeah. Can I just say something? For us, in the way that we've tried to do this, and what I was saying to Jamila when we wanted to do this, is that we're trying to tell a story from every different direction.
Yeah, man. And you're doing an excellent thing.
It'd have been lovely to have people like the Wild Bunch and stuff from Bristol. And some people like Jay was saying, they might have lived on the outskirts and they came in. It doesn't mean that they weren't a contribution to hip hop. So all this sometimes, it's just who was here, you're involved. I personally don't believe that, because I think a lot of people have contributed to the hip hop and to the archives, whether they were dancing at jams, whether they were supporting artists, by buying your stuff, by DJing your stuff in the clubs. They were a part of the hip hop. Like, so it is a movement telling the stories on a more of a personal, like you said, journey, rather than necessarily who had the biggest hits, who done the won all the titles. Because for the younger generation to kind of understand the hip hop, they need to understand, like what Jamila was saying, the community part of it, the park jams, the way we used to socialize together, the way some people would get dissed when you're challenging someone on the stage. The whole environment and the culture about it was from people mixing. That's how we can say, oh, I know you, I know you, I know you, I know you. Because you've seen the people along the way, whether it was hanging around the streets and boys were chasing girls, and then you get involved in rapping or whatever you was doing. It was part of our growth, and that's kind of how the community kind of we grew. So I just want to take now to Duke, because you went international. So we ain't gonna say that you didn't. You went big, and you done enough albums, right? And so same to Blade as well. Now, how did you find? Because it must have been quite different in the sense that you was kind of up there. You went quite big, and you obviously went out to America. You went everywhere. But now you're here with everybody, how do you feel in the sense that, what was it like going up there and then feeling that you weren't supported as a UK artist to maintain, like they were saying about Nas, that continuous support in making albums and carrying on to what you're trying to do? Like, how does that, what do you have to say about that?
Well, for me, as most people here have said, for the UK, you can only get so far. Once you get back then, obviously we were struggling to even be seen on TV. It wasn't even that long ago before we was getting big that black people would be phoning each other to say, yo, there's somebody black on TV. So you can imagine the struggle for us as young rappers, you know, and they're already going, oh, you've got an attitude already, and all right, people like you, but you've got an attitude. And you're just, you know, they're taking your persona as a rapper and saying that's you. You understand what I mean? And so you've got that problem there. But how I was kind of able to navigate my way around it was because I used to sit in that office every day and listen to Chris France negotiate deals with other companies. And so when it was time for him to negotiate with me, I'm hitting him back with his own science. You understand me? So whereas everybody else here said, oh, like they didn't get paid, I did. You understand me? I got paid. I made them pay me a weekly wage because I was making that much money for the company. I said, yeah, you are going to have to start giving me weekly advances. You know what I mean? And so back then they was paying me £500 a week. I wasn't waiting for no royalties. I was like, no, pay me now. I know the money's coming in. I see you bought a Rolls Royce. I see you just bought yourself a flat in Marylebone. You know what I mean? Give me mine.
Give me mine, yes.
You understand? So that's how I handled them. And even to now, I'm the only person that was ever on Music Alive that owns his own masters. You understand what I'm saying? I got my publishing, I got all my PRS, I own my own masters. I'm the only person because from back then, I told them in 25 years, I'm coming for my shit. You understand me? So make sure you remember this conversation. I was one of them dudes. I looked ahead because I see how it was going to go. You understand?
But you was a businessman as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, it wasn't their office, it was my office. I used to sit there, I used to take calls, I used to, I can do that, I can handle that for you, yeah. I used to make sure that I'll put myself out there because I didn't have no manager, because there wasn't nobody capable of managing somebody like me who started from the street upwards, who knows what the actual scene is, who knows people that are the people in the crowd, who knows other people that are other DJs, MCs, graffiti artists. I was plugged in, you understand me? So I knew that they wasn't going to be able to find anybody that worked in the music industry with some artists before me that will be able to even know what it is to be trying to do what I was doing. So we got offered a couple of bits and pieces, most of them which I turned down. You know, London Records offered me a deal. I said nah, because it wasn't enough paper. Because of people like MCM, who was out in High Wycombe, he was actually signed directly to Profile Records in America, in New York. So I was signed to Profile Records in New York as well. So when I went out there, we was talking to them, you know what I mean, just to see what they was going on with. But they was looking at UK rap at that particular time as like a novelty thing. And they was more interested in the reggae component of it because of people like KRS-One, and there was loads of Jamaican people that were living in New York, and there was a underground sort of dancehall scene that they could see coming. So they was more interested in Freddy's and you know, your Asher D's and them sort of man. Yeah. But anyway, so then I came back. I went on tour with Public Enemy. I went back to America again this time, but it was LA. And we was negotiating with Chrysalis. Both me and Freddie was living out in LA for a while. You know what I mean? Trying to work out our deals and stuff. But then at that particular time, my girlfriend was pregnant, and something just said to me, yeah, get on a plane. One Friday, in fact, it wasn't even a Friday, it was like a Wednesday. I said, yeah, I gotta go. Like, and this is in the middle of a negotiation with Chrysalis. I said, yeah, you know, like I said to him, because I had a manager in America. I said to him, look, I'm going to go back to England. My girl's going to have this baby. Time I landed and I got to my house, she weren't there. And I went to the hospital, and boom, an hour later, my son was born. And that's when I kind of went, you know what, this music thing, I ain't really care about that no more, too tough. You understand what I mean? I got a son right here. So I gave Music of Life their next album, which was trash, really. I just gave them what, you know, they wanted me to go commercial. I was telling them, yeah, I'll give you whatever you want, blah, 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 blah. Just give me my money. So I did the album, they gave me my money. And then I basically left the label and left them with the album, and it didn't do nothing because I wouldn't promote it. You understand what I'm saying? And it was because I wanted to raise my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You had different priorities.
So Blades, I know you're a family man, like Duke as well. So
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna first take it back to like the early days, because I was one of those quiet guys. Even up to now, people are always like, "Oh, Blade's a bit of a loner." So I was the guy in the background you never saw. I was that guy that was watching everybody and learning. I was the guy that was listening to what people were saying about how they were getting ripped off, or how someone signed a £250 million deal but still ended up with nothing. I was that guy that was watching all of this and thinking, I'm not gonna be one of you. And I kept trying to tell people from early days, do it yourself. And everybody laughed at me. Now, going back to the days when I started rhyming, like nobody apart from a couple of close friends knew I was rhyming. But for the first 3 years, I was analyzing what was going on within the music industry. And I didn't even want anyone to know I was rapping. Everyone used to see me at my school discos and I would jump on the mic and I was rapping and beatboxing and whatever, but I knew I wasn't ready. I knew as a non-black person, it was going to be hard for me to jump into a scene. So this is where I say it was slightly different from me now, right? It was going to be hard for me because I'd already started turning up at Covent Garden around end of 83 in the early days and whatever. And I started making friends. Yankee took me under his wing and was mentoring me. I was friends with Pogo and Motion, and I used to see Raymond and all them guys down there. But for me, I started noticing right from the very beginning that it was hard to accept me because I was Armenian. Where do I fit? I don't fit in the black community. I don't fit in the white community. So it was hard work. So I knew I had to work harder to get to where I was going. So that. The work ethic was installed in me from an early age. Now, when I was watching everybody and they were moaning about not getting paid, and when I say moaning, they have the right to moan, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying instead of talking about it, do something about it. So I stayed quiet. I watched everybody and I thought, you know what? Screw all of this. I'm going to do this myself. And I already knew that while I was in boarding school from 1984, 85, right? When I left school in 85, right? I already knew I was going to do this independently. I wasn't looking for a deal. When I came to Music of Life, Duke, when I came to Music of Life, I wasn't looking for a deal. I was looking to learn from what you lot were doing. You know what I mean? That's why I walked out. That's why I walked out. I did the same to Street Sounds. I did the same to London Records. I did the same to Island Records. You know what I mean? I did the same to all of them. And I got offered major deals, but I turned it down. I wasn't interested. I just wanted to learn.
Their deals were shit. Their deals were shit. You know
Bro,
what I mean?
the thing is, no, but I'm not going to mention the amount, but the deal I was offered from the majors was I could buy 2-3 houses at the time. So, you know what I mean? And it would have been easy. But it wasn't about the money.
That's still a house. Then you could have bought a house then for 60 grand, bro. So,
bro, you could have bought a house for 40 grand.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's got a lot of money.
Okay, so DJ, is it Fraggs?
I bought a house.
And how do you feel?
Did you buy a house?
I'm saying, it seemed every time because of Ron Tom. Can I just say a little thing?
Ron
Tom was a good.
Don't deal with the people that you keep.
No, I can't.
No, I'm joking.
I know. Ron Tom brought me in with a little deal when I went to like that's the only little nice squeeze I got. Well, no, I got other squeezes too. And it's always because of brother bringing me in. So brothers was there, but they needed to be doing that more across the field. One time brought me in and I was singing with, rapping, with Ronnie Jordan. He was doing his jazz music. We went all around Europe, okay? And I got paid nicely. Them things should have been happening all the time.
Yeah,
same with
Johnny, Power Laws, myself.
He always got you little nice deals. He always got people.
Some people didn't like him because he would say it as it is, innit? And then when he wasn't taking the deals like Virgin and them, they would just drop people because he wouldn't take what they were trying to say.
So it's like
just trying to bring in DJ.
I wish. Okay, another little thing. The main thing I was trying to say, I wish Blade, without realizing, he should have bought them a couple of houses, and he could have brought in other brothers, like because we needed someone to get in there. To start bringing in people, but it's all right.
That's what I tried to. That's what I tried to do at Music of Life. I tried to make sure they had an army of man that was real.
I remember hearing Blade selling the records out of the car, and I was thinking, wicked. We was gonna do that.
There was some guy in Port Bella with the funny wooden glasses that used to do it as well.
Oh, the glasses.
Remember the guy who used to have wooden funny alien glasses, and he was one of the first people also to sell records out of his bag, and he used to always go around Portobello. Come on, man, you guys must remember him.
I was. You know what? I used to jump on the trains, and you know you got the compartment where you have your luggage and all that. I used to jump on there because I couldn't afford to pay the train fare. And I used to take my records and everything, hide them in the train tracks. Sorry, not train tracks, in the toilets. And then when the attendant's gone and wherever, I just go and get my records, jump off in Belgium and wherever and sell. Right. But the point I was making though was that, you know, it's like I wanted to show everybody that doing things yourself is the way forward, because that way you only answer to you. And when I'll give you an example. So I didn't make much money in the first couple of records and whatever, but when I put my double album out and I went on a tour to Europe, I've done 16 dates in Europe, and I came back with 127 grand, right? From selling merchandise, selling records, and that wasn't even including the show money. And I was getting paid 4 grand a show, but I was making my own money. But you know what happened? All of a sudden, I get hit with a tax bill, and I ain't got nothing. Even though I analyzed the industry and I knew what I wanted to do and how I was approaching things, it's like when it actually came down to the
tax man's taking your money. It's not the con man, the tax man.
No one told me about the tax man. It is crack, right? I've got so much money out of music life now. When the tax man come looking for me, I said, I'll work, because they couldn't find me because they paid me, my account with them actually was in MC Duke, right? so when the tax man come looking for me now, they can't find me. So they went to them, they said, look, we got your signature on all these checks. You paid him all this money and we can't find him, so you've got to pay the tax. So they ended up paying my tax bill. They ended up paying my tax bill for about 4 years. You understand?
Wow.
Yeah. So all the viewers out there, listen to MC Duke and Blade and Empress. You know, they're the business ones.
In the UK, if they're your sole employer, right? Because that's what it looks like. They was paying me weekly. They're liable for the tax.
I'm sure you're patiently waiting there.
No. What was the question?
How did you find when you were working in the industry? How did you find, just getting paid? Also, did you find that there was a discrepancy of what you were getting paid and how you were getting paid? And also, entering into different arenas, were you able to do, or different genres? Were you able to get into different areas without difficulty, or was there always a problem with the record label blocking you?
Oh, I mean, I never went mainstream. I didn't actually go mainstream. So I was just, as I said, from a dancing perspective. So mine was videos. So I never ever went to the actual mainstream at all. So no, I actually, everything everyone's going through, I avoided, to be honest. What actually happened with me, when I stopped dancing, I basically became started off as a runner. It's really funny. I actually worked in Neil's Yard, which is really strange because lived and breathed in Covent Garden, and I ended up working for running a video company in Neil's Yard, and I ended up becoming a videotape editor. That was the actual first job I actually had after stopping dancing and everything. So I didn't actually go in.
Yeah, so you decided to go into other fields.
Yeah.
But you still learnt from where you came from, doing stuff.
I would always say everything about my life. I'd say everything goes back to Covent Garden.
Yeah.
I try to tell some people that.
Yinka, can I address something? And you guys are probably gonna hate me for this, but I just have to speak my heart and my mind and be honest about it. Right, I speak for a lot of the youth because I started a CD manufacturing business, which is how I managed to turn my life around. And I was speaking to a lot of the youth, the guys that were coming into the grime scene, into the drill scene, and I was doing CDs for loads of them. Everybody, Tiny Temper, Chip, everybody. And when I'm speaking to some of these artists, what was really getting to me was that they had no respect for the elders.
Yeah.
And then when I asked them why they had no respect for the elders, their answer is because we've tried to reach out to them and they don't care about us. So we're going to make our own lane. Yeah. No, Duke, I hear you. I see you shaking your head, Duke. I'm with you on that. But what I'm saying is there might be a few of us that was there for them. But overall, the scene There's a lot of artists that are there, that people that you've actually mentioned, who ignored them. So they went and created their own lane, and now they don't give a shit about us. Because
You're right.
we
There's
all
there
disappeared.
are a lot of young generation that have said that.
As far as they're concerned, we lot all retired. We all disappeared. We didn't give a shit. Facebook came on. Then we all came back and tried to say we did this first. And they don't.
I'd like to say something addressing what you're saying there is. I don't think it was like that in the sense that we weren't there. I think they kind of went quiet for a while, but that wasn't down to the mainstream, the old school wanting to be quiet. It's kind of the way the system took it. And then I think then what they were hearing at the time, the young generation, was quite angry old school artists coming back, being angry for the past of what you kind of how they killed us off and made us like we're 70. And we were talking about this on part 1. About when it comes to other music like rock music, you can have people 80, 90 still making music and they're still having the big hits. When it's hip hop, it's like if you turn to a certain age, we've got to retire. If it's reggae, people can be 80 and you're respecting them as artists, but for some reason, especially UK, it's like we're supposed to, we get a little age on us now, so we're supposed to just retire. So when the hip hop people tried to come back, which we know was quite a few years back, when everyone tried to come back again and say, this is old school, we were quite angry. There was quite a lot of angry UK artists, or they portrayed us as angry when the media was portraying them, saying, whatever portrayed was, we're moaning about the younger generation, we're moaning that we're not respected. It didn't show the positive. The media never showed the positive sides of us saying about how we embrace our culture with the hip hop, or how and we're open arms to it. They always showed the negative of us just being moany and old.
Yeah, Yinka, about 10 to 20% of us, we were there embracing the youngers. But what you have to understand as well is that a lot of the youngers that I speak to through, I know a lot of people in the music industry through the CD business, and they are angry.
Yeah. And the points that are really important to highlight is, a number of things. One is, what do we think we need to do moving forward in order to regroup everybody, right? That's one, and reconnect. I'm a firm believer of understanding your history, because if you don't understand your history, the pitfalls and the challenges that your predecessors went through, you will follow the same. It's possible, or more likely, that you're going to follow the same suit because you don't have the knowledge. So for me, and our ideology of this particular format that me and Yinka are doing is to ensure that we discuss the topic from cradle to grave. Everybody put their experiences in. We learn what we learn from everybody, and then it's almost like a pool that you're putting together. So that when the young people, then they're able then to reconnect with.
The problem I think you've got with the divide between us and the youth now. We were coming out, and our aim was to press vinyl. After I left Music Alive, I joined a couple of different labels, Sharp and Dance, suburban based, doing production. And then I started my own jungle label. And I used to sell stuff out of my boot of my car. So I've done all of that side of it as well. The difference is now, they've got the internet. Look how many different platforms that they can use.
Yeah, they've got enough platforms.
They don't need to come to us. That's why they're looking at us. Oh, we can't offer them nothing they can't do themselves.
Yeah.
If you've got a WAV file on your phone and a video, you can upload it to all those different platforms. They don't need to talk to us. So that's why we look obsolete to some of them. Some of them will come back and go, look, I need some of that old school flavor, which is what you're seeing now. If you look at all the new releases from the Americans over the last 6 months, they're all going back to the program. They're all going right back to the beginning. But the problem we've got is the kids is over there doing something else. They're not even paying attention to our corner. We appreciate what Buster's doing, what Nas is doing, what KRS is doing. Them kids don't care. They're on some who's talking about murking some kid from another area that was innocent. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's two different languages. We come from peace, love, unity, and having fun. They're coming from some, I want to be a drug dealer and I'm prepared to murder. If there was a way to, because my son's just turning 30 this year, you understand me? And the last 10 years with him has been a struggle since he was a kid. He's like, oh, shit, Dad, you was right. And I was trying to tell him, based on my experience growing up in Covent, they're a completely different animal. They don't need, us.
when we were growing up, we went into making music because it's something that we had a passion for. We loved it. But what's happening is when the kids are making music now, majority of them are just seeing like these guys are driving around in Lamborghinis and and that's what's driving them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
what
I'm saying is,
it's nothing to do with culture. It's consumerism.
It's money.
It's consumerism.
But do you
It's
think,
nothing to do with culture.
but do you think that's because we've lost our culture in the UK anyway, in that they've taken away all our communities, they've closed down all our community centres, where we had something to grow up in, and we had community centres, we had park jams, we had all that.
Yeah.
It's not the younger generation's fault, because it's been taken away from them. It's divide and conquer.
Look what they've got everybody
Divide and
doing
conquer.
now.
They've divided us from our families.
Yeah. Look, I was saying this before. They took hip hop as a culture and they scrapped it. They broke it down into parts and sold it off, like what a company does when it wants to take over a rival. You understand me? Look at breaking now. Breaking used to be something that I loved. Most of the people that I broke with from when I was in the Covent Garden days to now, and that I still know them. Most of the DJs, the body poppers, we still consider each other to be friends. I don't know nobody in that new breaking community. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know none of the judges. I don't know none of the DJs. It's been taken away.
Yeah.
Then the graffiti got so commercialized now that for a while it become persona non grata, because they took it and they bastardized
more than the soul. More power moves now.
You understand?
Yeah.
Well, no, because you know what, you guys are talking about the youth, and everything that everybody says, we all know it is all true, right? Because as you said, Yinka, you know what I mean, everything has been taken away from us. Because in the days, right, when hip hop first started, that was when the community was open. We was able to meet, and we did, as you say, Duke, you know what I mean? You started in Covent Garden, but yet that just grew like that because the youths then found a place where they can go and we could resonate. And that resonation just spread, and then all of a sudden it became one community, north, south, east, and west. There was no divide. We was all as one. We all met up. I mean, as we say now. I mean, I don't see you for years, but you know, when we meet, it's a blessing. You know what I mean? And that's how we all did grow. Because again, in the days of Spats, there were so many people that come through Spats. And in fact, I got a story about you there, Juki. You know what I mean? About when Mr. Man stopped you from rapping, and you said, "Put that record back on." You remember that? Anyway, I ain't gonna go into it because no, but the thing is, we had a community. Now, the sad thing, the point about the elders, I would have to agree that, you know what I mean, we weren't there. I was a youth worker for over 30 years, and in that time, we were the Family Quest. I believe we was one of the first to start doing like what we called rap and scratch workshops. Which what we did. We took the hip hop elements and we brought it to. We did a tour around London and our suburbs, and we were showing people the concepts and giving them the opportunity to experience it and get involved. Now, the sad thing, what happened with that is that Islington, there was a crew called Springboard. They took it, but it just got watered down. There was no longer a rap and scratch. The mixing aspect came in, and everybody started just doing these no scratching, just beat mixes, and everything just got killed. The elements that we brought in was all lost. When we got together, the community was there. It's all been said already. The breakers were there, the graffiti artists was there, scratchers was there, everybody, and we would all meet up. It all went. Now, Duke tried to bring.
Do you think this is by design?
But you know what? Well, you have to look at. There is no hip. There's hip hop today is like 1% of rap music. You know what I mean? So it was all. Everything's been taken away. Hip hop was something that was actually. It was victimized as It was villainous. Yeah, anybody involved with hip hop, we was all sort of like a villain.
And that's an interesting element. Can I just say one thing as well? Yeah, can I just say something as well? Because what's interesting is we don't have a lot of the female rappers or female groups, and when we do, and Yinka can be testament to that. You know, there's additional pressure, obviously, with female rappers to conform and also to overperform for their duties. In other words, if you understand my meaning.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is
take off their clothes.
Yeah, and why I say this is because there's female rappers, and there's 3 of them in particular I'm thinking of, and they're very prominent, and they literally have, it's like watching a porno.
Yeah.
When you're watching their videos. I've got to keep it real, right?
Yeah, nothing to do with the culture. That is nothing to do with the culture. That's the culture now.
No, I know. Yeah. No, I'm just saying this is how you got older men in the industry who are salivating on keeping it in a gutter type form, because if you keep it that low, what's going to happen is what's happening now. You have no respect for yourself to a certain extent, right? And all it is that you, in order to do something, you've got to take your clothes off now. Whereas before, when we were in the 90s, you had a midriff of a woman showing, you had baggy trousers, you had us looking like we were punk rockers, but we looked good. Do you understand? Now, it's more or less...
It was more of a tease.
Well, tease, but it's also you're looking good and you're feeling fit.
And
what's happening now?
You wear your boots to kick them down if they come for you. It was more fun to fight them. That's the difference. That we.
Hold on, sorry. What's happened now is that I've got a 20-year-old daughter, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and I've got a 6-year-old daughter. So I've got across the range, and I've got my son. But what's interesting is my daughters, without me saying anything, maybe the way I brought them up, is repelling when they see 3 of those particular female, I can't even call them rappers, I don't even know what to call them, but how the music industry has directed them to be, is that the justification for saying, using the terminology that these women are using now, and the fact that they're naked when they're doing their, practically naked when they're doing their videos, their justification of it is, well, men have been degrading us for years, so therefore we're taking control, and we are in control of how we want to project ourselves. And if we want to project ourselves in a particular way, we can do. So in other words,
it's their own version of women's lib.
For me,
men are
that
telling
argument
them that's
is,
the
but
way it
for
can
me,
be.
I hear young women starting to say that. And what I said to my girls in response to that is, listen, we are the mother of the race. We are the queens. You like that. You have to set a bar and a precedent. Even if your children say I'm the mother. If your son and your daughter are going wayward, we are the ones who rein you back in and give you that information, that nourishment, and that education.
From what I get from this, what you're trying to say is that everyone's sitting here now. We're all going on about what's been taken away from us. We know what's been taken away from us, and we know where it's all gone. So what are we going to do about it? Do we just sit here?
Solution. It's a lot of things actually that was said before, but as well. Okay, I'm going to round it all up in one whole thing. First of all, like when we're talking about like the youth, okay, and the gap between the youth and us, okay, and Blade is talking about this. You see, one important thing, is that like we had the rap developed, and I think do kind of mention kind of this. The rap developed. We had rappers because after our time, there was another generation. There was MCD, all of that lot. Skinny Man, all of that lot came later on, and then there was a generation of rap that came after us, and that generation carried on going. Now, this what we call today, this drill, is something different, because this drill, it came out of grime. It had that grime thing going on, and then the rappers, then what happened? The media started to say that grime was rap, and the rappers said, no, that's not rap, that's grime.
Their own thing.
It's their own thing, and don't because what happened, because to be a rapper, there was skills and stuff that went into being a rapper. There was techniques when you was doing your bars. And we used to listen to that drill, that grime, and say, this is some baby stuff. Later on, that baby stuff developed, and then they had like this UK drill.
But they got man like Ghetto.
Yes. Now, what was important is what's understanding, and I think Steve mentioned this earlier on as well.
Man like Ghetto was one of my students.
One of the big changes happened is that because of the social media, as
sell their own thing.
Now, right, you don't need nobody. Like them people, they can make a tune about killing a man with the UK drill. They know about 100 songs how to kill somebody.
And go prison and get 100 million views.
All these different things. They make their video, right? They put it on YouTube. They get millions of views. So the middleman has been cut out. That is the difference. What has happened now? So now, and to be honest with you, these youths now, they don't even need no record companies. They just upload their songs onto YouTube, get their views, and from channels. When you're on YouTube, you monetize that. They're getting money from that. Anyway, now for us, And just what our sister was saying, Jamila.
Yeah,
Jamila.
Jamila.
What my sister was saying is that, like, look, what has happened with the culture, yeah? There's a difference between the rappers, right, and the businessmen. This is the thing that it has to be made very clear. You've got businessmen and you've got us rappers, right? Now, the thing is, the businessmen, they don't care about morals. They don't care about culture. What they care about is money.
Business.
They just care about
Business
money.
is business.
That's why
Your
you've
unit,
got
your
girls.
product. Yeah.
That's why you've got the women getting their clothes on, because they know sex sells. They don't care.
That's been from time. That's
They
not a
don't
new
care.
thing.
Sex sells. So for them, they just say,
Two
look,
live
you take
crew.
your clothes off, honey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We'll
trust
give
me,
you
I
the
had to
skill.
run for the brothers.
Yeah? Also,
Could do that music.
like, you know, in our music, you see the music that is getting sold. What kind of message are we telling? Smoke drugs, drink alcohol, treat women with no respect, have a big car.
Black exploitation movies. Been there from time, innit?
Any person that comes next to you, kill them, wipe
That's what I
them
like to
out.
promote.
This is all of the messages, okay, that is inside the music. And the problem is, when a man's coming with conscious lyrics and he's going to these
Shut
record
you
labels,
down.
they don't
Shut
want
down.
to know. But really, what
down.
happened, where we made a mistake, is that we shouldn't have been doing that. What Blade was talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing
it's
it
true.
yourself.
Got to
People
come
should
back
have
to
been
Blade, yes.
taking our
True.
stuff and doing it ourselves.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, even in
100%.
2021,
Yeah.
that message is still not got through, because we're going
Still.
to people. Why are you going to them people to try to give you money? We should have been doing it for ourselves.
Exactly.
What you were saying about doing this museum and stuff, I'm down. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
We'll
down, all
catch
that
up
kind of
after,
stuff,
yeah? We'll
Thank
catch
you.
up.
The last thing, we was the ones that put on Yinka, because when we was Cash Crew,
Yeah.
we created the female Cash.
Yes, that's what I
We
said.
was the one, we
Me and
respected
Tushan.
women from the day one. We
Exactly. You were supporting the females and encouraging them.
Yes, so we was the one doing it from day one.
Yes.
Peace and love and
True
light,
that.
people.
Being the younger one out of all of us here,
Yeah.
come, let's have your opinion.
He's conscious, yeah,
Well,
and
you see,
I
young,
still
I
have
do.
belief that these young rappers
And
are
listen
still
to
out
old
there.
heads too.
I still believe they're out there.
Yeah, good
Oh,
ones.
he's mad conscious.
I don't know what you want to talk about specifically, but like overall, there's what I see is a very big disconnect from the original kind of heads that were doing music and doing the hip hop. So the generation, like the generations that came after, like, because what you guys are saying, there's a lot of truth in it, but it's also not the full story. Because what you guys are saying, like, and this is coming from me. This is coming from someone who respects you guys, kind of laying down the fabric of culture for us to even exist. But there is a disconnect in kind of in regards to like that what you guys did for hip hop and UK hip hop is not still happening. It's always been happening. Every generation is carried on, and
keep knocking on the door.
Has
Right.
become the mainstream thing, but really and truly, that's a very small part of it. That's it's actually constructed. So what is happening now? Brothers like me, bro. There's like hundreds of MCs, female, male. There's breakers. There's all of us that are so disconnected from you guys because basically there's no bridge and there never has. And talking about there's not no lyricism. There's not no like this is all that's coming on. It used to be on the TV screens. Now it's all on the all over the internet. But we know that's constructed. We know that's not our story. There's a lot of stuff going on outside of that. It's just that we have no infrastructure to bridge the gap, and there's been no effort to make it happen.
Thank you.
So I don't know. I don't know what you really want to talk about specifically, but there's a lot of lyricism. I can go around the corner.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There's a lot of conscious people out there, hungry as well to connect with
hungry. Like, really and truly, I just want to spit. I don't even want to talk right now. I just want to spit bars.
Yeah.
Get me? That you guys, the things you guys fought and went through, and it's still here.
Yeah.
It's
right.
Struggle.
And the fact of the matter is that a lot of you guys are not really interested in like nurturing that or cultivating that. And a lot of you guys are, but I'm just saying that the gap is so vast that it's really hard to build from that, and it's a very fragmented situation. So you guys, what I see from you guys is that you're all kings of your own empire, kings and queens of your own empire, but it's not a collective empire.
You need to unite the empire.
I have to speak on one thing. I'm lucky because I was at Pineapple that I still kept connected with the B-boy scene that was underground, and I brought up some new B-boys who brought up next generation of B-boys who brought up more B-girls and B-boys. So I still know the new school B-boys who love the funk, who can rock the beats, and they got power too. So that's good. And they actually was active until this Corona came along. They was going to different countries and still battling. And they was trying to get my old ass to go back with it. But on the MC tip, because of that kind of them young heads I was seeing, different generations, a bit below me, then the next generation down, the next generation down, and even further down, I could even hear the music, that there was some good MCs out there in the UK, in America. And it's the same thing as what the brother was saying. There's a lot out there. You don't know all of it. It's all underground. There's killer B-boys out there that you say, whoa, they still got that same in their heart on the beat, killing it, passionate about hip hop.
Oh, I know who the new B-boys are. I just said I know who they are. I said I don't know them. You understand me? Back in the day, we knew breakers from Germany. We knew breakers from
I still do,
France,
homie. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now.
Holland.
No, listen, Duke. I still do. Sorry, I still do, Duke. I'm trying not to shout. Missy said I'm shouting. I still do know these B-boys from America and France and Germany and you name the countries, Holland, Norway.
But what they're doing
Korea,
now,
all
the
over.
moves that they're doing now.
No, homie, there's some good ones. Trust me.
The moves what they're doing now, though, it's gone even more to gymnastics.
No,
now.
bruv. Homie, no. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing the mainstream. Is what you saying. What's the brother down here? Watusi.
Yeah, maybe
8-7. It's what he's saying. You've got to see the
Drew, maybe you're right in the sense
undercover.
that we have to take some responsibility. Also, like what Blades is saying, that maybe we're a bit out of touch ourselves because there are a lot of young generation that I've seen that are crying out for conscious, going back to the old school and wanting that support. But they feel this research, like what Blade was saying, from us because they feel that we're going to slam the door in their faces and say, "Oh, you younger generation, you're no good."
I'll just say something. Sorry, because I'm listening to everybody. First of all, Watusi, I've done CDs for you, right? And you probably don't even know because I was dealing with one of your other crew members. Okay, and I was calling you and saying, "Yo, I think you guys are dope, and what can I do to help?" Yeah. So I know who you are already. So when this is done, I'm doing my own channel. I would love to get you in for an interview.
See, there you go.
Right? So I'm just letting you know that the reason I started my channel is so that I can bridge that gap, and I'm going to do all I can to bridge that gap. But if we go back to what we were saying earlier, right? The thing is, I personally feel like when I talk to the youngsters, there's no respect for the elders, right? And all they respect is monetary value. Okay, so what you were saying, these are all the problems. So the solution, how do we get to the solution? The solution is, it's going to take a long time, and we have to be patient and understanding, and we have to reprogram the way they think so they value themselves rather than valuing money.
Yeah.
You understand? Like girls, I know young girls that are prepared to just take everything off just to be on a video, and they don't even care about the money. Right? They just want to get the views. So the other problem is the views.
Yeah, that's been there from a long time.
Right, exactly. So it's all about, they don't even care. All they want to see is they want to feel important. Something's missing in them because they haven't been brought up correctly. Maybe because their parents are only 11 years older than they are. Do you know what I'm saying? So the other thing is, Watusi, first of all, I looked after your guys for the CDs. You were always getting discounts, and I did that for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I made sure that you guys, all of you, not just you, thousands. I can name you thousands of artists that I looked after on the street level. But what I'm saying is, I've had people that have been on telly doing their own shows, coming to me to get their CDs done. They didn't want to pay the delivery because it was £10. So they drive all the way from London to come to my place to pick up CDs because they ain't making no money. We all look at it and think they're loaded. But you know what? If they're driving a Lamborghini, it's because it's rented, or it's on a lease, or they're paying on credit card and they can't afford to keep it. Do you know what I'm saying? And the other thing as well is that I've actually sat in a car with one of my clients, and he's driving his mom's car to come and get the CDs. We sat there, he realized who I was, and we talked for 4 hours at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not gonna mention any names, but I'm gonna tell you the story, right? And the story is this. I'm like, bro, you must be rolling in it because I see you doing all these shows and there's like 5,000 people there every time. He goes, bro, don't be silly, man. We just take little 10-second clips of what we're doing and we show you the live parts. The rest of it, we ain't showing you when we're performing with 6 people there. And don't be fooled just because they're getting 1 million views or 10 million views.
Linking up the generations, like we started off talking earlier about Kimber and James in Grove, and there was that the feeling of doing something for community and local, and like Yinka saying, some of us need to say, okay, well, we didn't do enough, but as I don't know who said it, there was MCs that came before, certainly before me, and certainly after us, there was 2, 3, 4 generations maybe of MCs that have kept going since. Here's someone like Watusi talk, man. It's inspiring, but we should be looking to build those bridges. But how do we build that without the space to do it? Without the park jams, without the areas we're in for 2 years. How do we actually make that happen?
Well, Johnny D, it's like what we're doing now on shows like this, on podcasts like this.
So yeah, we're doing something. We're taking
out
steps
to the youth to let them know that we are here and we can network. And if people want to reach out to us, look at all these people on the show. I'm sure you would all be prepared to offer a hand to them if they're listening. This is what we're doing.
And the idea of an archive in Grove, let's do it, man. That's an amazing idea.
You know what it is, though? Each generation, is different, first of all, And from Covent Garden days, each generation has made the same mistake,
Yes.
Yep.
We have the talent and we have the culture and everything, but we don't have no unity.
Exactly.
So like basically with like for instance, like basically all right, someone like Westwood can look at that and siphon off. Someone like Malcolm McLaren can look at that and siphon off. So basically it's like breaking people, breaking generations
divide
down.
and conquer.
So each generation is going to make the same mistake until they realize that basically you need the unity and you need a union. If you don't have a union, that says basically like, all right, that sets the standards of everyone, saying they want to go and do this thing, you know what I mean? But like basically as a collective, the collective gets paid. So basically you build something, you understand? Like basically it's an individual, like we can't all be individuals all the time and go out and make this money as an individual and basically that's it. Do you understand? That's it. Then what? Do you understand? Then you lose the collective. And you've got to remember that hip hop started as a collective.
When you had nothing in your pocket.
Right. You made something out of nothing. But I remember like basically way back in the day in Covent Garden, and it was like London All Stars, the Breakers, and they was doing shows and things, and it was on road 1 minute, it was all on road, everyone's on the same level before anyone had names, there was no names, no big names and shit like that, 1 minute they're on road, and next minute they're doing, I look up at in Piccadilly, and they was doing a show in Lily White's, so now basically it's gone from the road to this corporate thing, you understand? But there's still no union, you understand? So they've gone now, do you understand? And like basically that's what I'm trying to say is like each generation is going to keep making the same mistake because there's no union and there's no unity. You understand? No organization. You understand? If you don't have organization,
Douglas.
There you go, Melodee. That's it.
Douglas, NSO crew,
Yes,
you guys said it long time ago, right? Let me just tip your memory. Justice in a this time, we need some justice in a this time. Justice. That's you, yeah. And it's so cool. Remember that. The simple. What you saying?
For vinyl. For vinyl.
I know. When I heard that, I was, as I say, there's 1%. I believe there's like 1% of hip hop today. When I heard that track many years ago, I said, this is what UK should be doing. This is the sound that we should be pushing, because the elements in that track in itself is just telling the truth. 400 years. You broke it down. You told the people about it. But you know what? The tune did not get the airplay. Nobody backed it up. And we're back.
You know what it is, yeah? The fact is, like, basically conscious hip hop in this country, yeah, and in America, yeah, does not sell. It's not promoted. It's not like down.
That's it. That's you said the last word. Not promoted.
When you say it does not sell, these things sell, but people are not going to push.
Yes.
Now, you got certain radio stations which will play it, but they don't seem to be getting it. And you got
it'll get played like Westwood used to do to us. It will be in the last
10 minutes.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Hey, can I say one thing after you?
Because look, there's too many of them. There's too many of them with the money phones. There's too many of them driving a Bentley. There's too many of them got 200 grand in their face.
It's the mentality. It's the mentality that Watusi actually hit on. The fact, for argument's sake, Dookie, everything we did, right? We all did it. We were the community. But that community wasn't told, it was unified in the way, you know, it was like it's unified when the Windrush came over. When a black person saw a next black person across the road, we'd be nodding to say, yeah. So the community built. But the thing is, everybody was still doing their own
thing. Yeah, true.
But what we need to do now is actually say, because the same way as what Watusi said, you know what? When they look back to us, I mean, there was no bridge. There was no bridge for them to cross. So therefore, how can they reach out to we? And when they do see we're all separated.
First place is what Dee was saying. They're making the same mistakes.
Yeah,
we're always just being separated in the first place.
And it's been explained already, because look, there's a group which is well known, and anybody that knows me knows the history that I had with this particular group. Now, in this particular time, there was a covenant that was said that, you know what, if I get through that door, I bring you all with me. Now, when this group got through the door and they broke America, I mean, I was speaking to a brother just yesterday, and he said when this tune hit, and this tune wasn't even a full release, but it hit America, he goes, that was the best thing.
Yeah, that would have been the UK time.
When these group got through that door and they made millions, do you know what happened to the foundation over here? They shut the door and they went across the road, across the water, looking for the talent. As I say, several people said, they all said, if we get through, and these people now have OBEs and everything like that, but they never brought the youth in. They struggle. When they start to struggle, they then come back home and start looking to bring up the youth, and they still didn't even give the youth them.
And on top of that, come back home and disrespect man who was championing them.
How would you guys like to say that we would be able to unite, because this is what everybody's doing, and move forward?
The union.
Well, everyone has to get, first, when it comes to the union thing, everybody has to get in where they fit in. Everyone has to play their position.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, at the end of the day, and just, exactly. Because
a union doesn't come without organisation.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
I work in sixth form college, so I know all the drill tunes, all the trap tunes. I'm in tune with all of what they're doing. All I always say is, even though some of the rhythms I love and some of the flows or whatever, they have to change. They have to give it a balance where the content could be, even if they're doing 50% of what they're saying, give it 50% of the other, because the pattern could be the same. It's just the content, it's just the wording different. If you know lyrics, you just change the words. You know, it's like when you do remixes and stuff. But anyway, what I was saying back from before with what Watusi was saying and what Blade was saying, the truth in both of them saying, because rap wise, even though I danced in the generation of Power Laws, rap wise, I came in the days of Kalashnikov and that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you understand? You understand?
Good.
So rap-wise, what Trim said before he left was there was generation. The youths don't know these lot because that wasn't what they saw when they was doing their thing. So it's not a disrespect to any of like the Dukes and the Overlord X's, and they won't know none of these lot because they skipped straight into like the Skinny Man, Kalashnikov. They were the only left over, the Task Force and the rest of that lot. And there, they were getting shows, they were getting money, so they were confident in their own thing, even though it wasn't making as much as the other thing. But when gigs came, gigs set off something new. Man, don't give gigs his respect for that, even though he might not like what he said. He set off a new thing. Because I remember seeing him talking the hardest at Shepherd's Bush Empire, and that was Rick Ross's show when he had done Every Day I'm Hustling. I went to that show and they played that. Man, they played it to me and he goes, listen to this prayer. And when he played it, the crowd was going mad. First time I ever see UK crowd going mad for English guy. And that's what switched the lane. So that gap between you lot, us lot, like our generation, is different to what the youths were trying to get in with when they was doing that. Because I remember being at them urban music festivals. There was the Kalashnikovs, all them Lethal Bees were coming out at them times there, all them lot there. So that generation, they didn't bridge the gap, not you lot. That's the only thing I want to say.
Okay. Okay, so what's your music? We're talking about bridging the gap and ensuring that we support either the youngers or our current, anybody currently in industry putting anything out. So Watusi, you said you've got some music that you've produced and put out quite recently, and I heard some of it, and it's excellent. So, use this platform to promote yourself, and not only just that. Before you state that, what's also interesting is Melodee, Douglas. It's the same thing. You have to have an organization. I mean, when you mentioned Bolton-Gordan, his businesses were called Unity Restaurant or Unity Hostel or Unity Association, which has now turned into a housing association. So his legacy is obviously housing the youth and also training the youth. Now, obviously, all that got taken away because of other politics between the council and all the greater beings. But the concept is still there, because when we had Unity Restaurant, one thing that used to be quite funny: if you want young people's attention and you're going to train them, you better make sure you've got a good restaurant next door so they can yam and they can come back in and they
all feed them.
You got to feed them knowledge. You got to feed them food. You got to feed them some love. You got to feed them emotion, right? Once
feed
you
them
get
some licks. No, not really.
Well, that too. Yeah, we would love that. Trust me, they have to make sure that, because I remember when we had Unity Restaurant, we had Asgard, we had everybody here. We had Queen Latifah, she came through with Tupac, and I didn't even remember, I forgot all about that. But they were very humble. They were just starting out at that point. This is under the Westway, under the flyover next door to the gym. And the thing that came across, even when they all swept in as Americans, is they were very tight on unity, because they were still going through their segregation, because they're still going through, and so were we, but ours were obviously hidden. You know what the English are like, they're hidden with their racism to a certain extent. And then when you're a victim of their racism, they turn around and say to you, "Why are you so angry?" But the thing is, more importantly, we've identified that there's issues. We've identified, I mean, it's been beautiful seeing everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
But also, and then the fact that you participated and you still want to do something, which is most important to young people. We actually are interested. You may not see us.
You won't be on the show. You won't be here today. It's just here for a reason. And everybody's sitting here for a reason, that we care, and everybody does want to do something to give back something to the young generation in some or form. If it's educational, archiving, we're telling our stories, it's something they can learn from, or whether it's something that you can say, you know what, if anybody's out there and it needs help production wise, or like what Blade was saying, we can help them in any way, form. We're putting it out there.
Let's start to think about building those bridges. Bring that unity back.
Exactly.
It's not impossible. It's big.
Not. And if we keep saying we can't and we won't, we never will. And that's what we were saying when we were done the part 1 with the Bronx. You know, they were telling us, oh, it's this and this. And we were like, you stay with your, oh, it can't happen, because we're trying. And at least if we can say, that we went out there, we tried to do something, and we can say we tried. And I don't believe in try anyway. I think same way we're all on here and Zoom's brought us all together. We might not have seen each other unless it was in a hip hop jam or a barbecue with Coke.
20 years ago.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That's the way we'll see each other. Hi, oh yeah, you're the rapper. See, that's so and so, that's so and so. That's all we ever do. But the fact that we're sitting here and talking serious, conscious talking about the future of the younger generation, not just for rap, I think for everything, for education-wise,
for society,
for role-wise, it's more than hip-hop, right? It's more than hip-hop. And I think
bigger than hip-hop.
We can use
Can I make a
one
reference?
element, but it's more than hip-hop.
Yes.
Can I make a reference to a movie?
Yeah.
But for anyone who's seen The Untouchables,
Yep. Watch it the other day again.
Okay, now there's a scene in that movie where they're going to look for someone in the police force to help them, but they're talking about you got to go to the root, not to the ones that are already made.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, as part of the solution, if you want to fix the problem, I personally believe you can't go to the guys who already made it because they don't care, because they're secure.
Exactly.
So we need to go to the youngsters that are trying to come up and bring them in. So like, for example, like when I'm doing my channel, what I want to do is I'm not necessarily interested in going to all the big names. I want to bring the youngsters that no one's heard of.
That's what we're
Because
doing.
they're
As
the
well.
ones who are going to spread the word.
Yeah, we bring people on the show. Generally, this is what we've been trying to do with the podcast: bring in the people who are highly profiled, but also bring in people just the average that you would think is a Joe blog, but we believe that they've got something that the people who you do need.
They're extremely talented.
You need the highly profile. I don't believe you don't need the people. We've experience. Experience is you can't teach if you haven't experienced anything. So you do need the highly profile. You do need the big boys who have been there and done it. You do need them because they've experienced life and they've been, they've got all that experience.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't need them. What I'm saying is a lot of those guys are used to having money thrown at them, and if you get them in for an interview, chances are, unless you know them really well, they're gonna charge you $2-3 grand just for an interview.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, Blade. But then saying that, look, everybody's on this podcast that we're doing.
I've had to stop myself from being fanboy, especially you, Drew.
You the man,
thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this, and I hope that from the back of this and from the course of these things, we can all try and get those bridges built.
Yeah, definitely.
Overturn the legacy of poison that we left for the younger generation.
Yeah, definitely.
And just get things back on track against society. Through hip hop, we can try and be better, try and be bigger for ourselves and for our kids.
Yeah, exactly.
See? Yeah, well, I dropped an album called Flavor in September. A year before that, I dropped an album called Moments of Truth. I've got my collective. We've got an EP out, and we've got 2 albums out. One was a joint album with the boy Logic, and then the other one was our
Logic,
own
my boy, People's Army. Come on, man. I was in People's Army, man. That's my boys, man.
The thing about that album is, like, some of the one of the videos especially got over 100,000 views. So it's like we out there. We've been doing this, and we've been making the music that you guys will probably make today if you was born in this generation. This is what we've been doing. I've got EP out. That was my first solo project. RUR Sound's got EP out, and we feature on compilations and so on and so forth. One especially called the Vibes and Pressure compilation. That's my body of work so far. So
people want to find you. Where will they find you?
The best place to find me is on Instagram as Watusi87. I've got videos out, and RU1 Sound, that's RU number one at space FAM. And yeah, just that's Instagram and YouTube are the best place to find us. That's it really. And I give thanks for the opportunity to be amongst you guys, and give thanks for the work you do.
You're an inspiration.
And we're just here to learn. We're just here to learn from each other. What is kept away from the elders and the wise elders is revealed to the youngers, right?
Exactly.
So, vice versa. There's so much to learn. And between my generation and your generation, there's generations between, and there's generations after. So there's so much bridges to be. There's so much built and fill that void. But glad the conversation only happened anyway. So give thanks.
thing that we're going to do is a part of the archiving and part of our communication and our networking is we're building up a database. So we will have everybody's emails address, Instagram details, and whatever else that you want to forward on, so that if you're looking for somebody, if you want to communicate with somebody, yes, you can
offer them help as well.
Yeah, you can help, offer support and help, but also you have that foundation of information of database. So that's what's missing. You have to go all through the Marby bush to go and find somebody.
But you know, my last word is going to say, because basically we've got dancers and MCs in there, and I once heard an MC say that the microphone, when you're up there and you got the microphone, it's a weapon. And my reply to him was, no, the microphone's a weapon in the hands of a fool. The hands of the wise, the microphone's a tool, and it's how we use it. Yeah.
Right, on this note, and it'd be lovely to have you guys back another time. Because this was inspirational for me. Definitely. I just want to say a big thank you
Hungry
to
Belly
Hudson.
is a
big respect for being on the show. Big thank you for Blade always. For thank you for being on the show and reaching out to the younger generation.
Thanks for having me.
Big thank you to MC Duke. Big thank you to Fraggle, DJ Fraggs. Big thank you to Sir Drew. Big thank you to Ian, MC Emix. Big thank you to Johnny D. And a big thank you to the Rue One family. Right, Watusi, everybody for being on the show. Much appreciated, man. It's a privilege to have you here. I'm just overwhelmed by it, man.
Yes, man. It's good to see every last one of you. Trust me.
Drew, you've still the
give me jokes. Give me jokes are nice.
Ain't changed at all.
I look up to enough of you guys. You know, I see enough time. Roast enough mics from enough shows.
Take care of yourselves, everybody. Make sure you keep safe, though.
Good to see you. Trust.
Give me rhythm, let me walk. Yes, Pesci. Give me rhythm, let me did it again. Give me professional. You see me? My competitive nature forgets my manners. That's not your style, brethren. That's Jules Santana's. Show them I got it like John. Gems on, pink wanna be Cameron. When war's on, they fold like boots on. I don't do garage, I'm not a grease monkey. Some of them sound like nursery rhyming junkie. Brains need MOT. Start motoring off your mouth. What's your full service history? You don't know what time it is in front of Big Ben. Everything is 9, the only 9 is you and 8 of your friend. You're fraudulent and feminine. 4 I killed 10 of them. Pesci reached the London, I was born, my woman come from Nottingham. Refuse to take pennies for my thoughts. I'm not signing till I see your numeral and 6 notes. Ever since you start rapping.